You, hey you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Are you tired of the same old podcasts with the same old panels and the same old rhetoric? So am I. So come spend time with me, where you can have a laugh, be entertained, and learn something. I'm your host, Nova, and welcome to School of Thought. Class is in session. Hello, everybody. Hello on this Friday night. I hope everybody has had a wonderful work week now that the grind is done and you can unwind for a few days. I appreciate any of you who have taken the time to unwind with me, all you degenerates out there in detention. Are you ready? Because school is beginning now. Today, we're going to do something interesting. We are going to cover the whole manifesting grift, how that translates into different other areas, like other parts of the social media world, manosphere, the church, which is my stomping grounds. I'm going to start off by saying something that my old man taught me as I made my own business, considering he was quite the businessman. He said, kid, there's a sucker born every minute, and I'm one of the 3 guys chasing him. Yeah, he sure was. And then I fell in line with it. Anyways, think it, believe it, achieve it. It can just be yours just by believing and thinking and putting. Now they're adding, you got to put an action to it. The action of, well, you got to believe it, right? You got to think it. Now you got to put some kind of an action into it. And my action right now is going to be reading something fantastic, a brilliant blog by Self-Made covering this exact territory. Manifesting. Is it back again, really? The age-old tactic of manifesting. Fake it till you make it meets wishful thinking. It's like a modern-day spin on the old occult principle where you're supposed to conjure up your desires out of thin air. Because, who needs hard work? No, you don't need hard work, right? Right? Just think it, believe it, and achieve it. When you can close your eyes and wish really hard, right? But hey, if it works for some people, more power to them. Welcome to the world of manifesting, where reality is just a figment of your imagination. And how to manifest like a G, a pro. So listen up, folks, because I'm about to drop some wisdom on you. Manifesting, oh yeah, that's my jam. It's all about this cool belief or practice, where I use my super focused thoughts, visualizations, and those sweet, positive affirmations to attract whatever I want into my life. Like, seriously, it's all about the power of my mind, baby. I mean, who needs reality when I can just will my desires into existence, right? It's like, hey, universe, bring it on. And you better believe it works. Because when I align my mindset with my goals, boom, they become reality. Vision boards, affirmations, meditations. Yeah, I do it all. Because why settle for anything less when I can manifest my wildest dreams? The manifesting history. Let's go into the brief history, shall we? Let me align you on the origins of manifesting. So picture this, a mishmash of ancient wisdom and modern day self-help gurus. Yeah, that's where it all started, back in the 19th century. Some folks in the U.S. got real hyped about this thing called the New Thought movement. They were all about the power of the mind and how thoughts could shape reality. Cue the mental healing vibes and infamous law of attraction. But wait, it gets better. Take a trip back even further, and you'll find similar ideas lurking in Hinduism, Buddhism, Hermeticism. I think I said that right. Like, who knew manifesting was such an ancient art, right? These guys were all about intention, visualization, and believing you can bend reality to your will. So fast forward to the early 2000s, and bam, The Secret hits the shelves, spreading manifesting like wildlife. Surely everyone's hopping on the manifesting bandwagon, thanks to Rhonda Byrne's little revelation. Now it's all over the self-help scene with authors and speakers, influencers, motivational speakers, right, coaches, peddling their own brand of manifesting magic. So there you have it, folks. Ancient wisdom meets modern day hype. Welcome to the world of manifesting, where reality is just one little thought away. Handwork or just manifest it. All right, listen up, because I've got something to say about this whole manifesting thing. Sure, some people out there are using it as an excuse to sit back and do absolutely nothing, just hoping their positive vibes will magically fix everything. But let's get real for a second. Manifesting isn't some get out of work free card. You got to put in the sweat and the tears if you want to see the results. I mean, come on. Positive thinking alone isn't going to pay the bills or land you that dream job. So, to all the manifesting enthusiasts out there, remember this. Manifesting is like a tool in your toolbox, not a magic wand. You got to roll up your sleeves and get down to business if you want to make those dreams happen. Because let's face it, life's not going to manifest itself. No matter how hard you wish upon a star. I'm wishing on a star. Don't worry to be happy and manifest. Ah, behold the melodramatic soliloquy on the human emotional roller coaster. How quaint. Sure, we're all familiar with the drama of joy and sorrow and the whole shebang. But must we wax poetic about it like a bard at an open mic night? Sure, manifesting is all the rage, but let's not pretend we're living in a perpetual Disneyland parade. We've got more shades than a pint store clearance rack. From the highs of winning the lottery to the lows of realizing it was just a dream. And guess what? That's life, folks. Because here's a newsflash. Suppressing emotions won't magically transform you into a walking, talking Zen garden. They're like the annoying relative who crashes your party. Better to acknowledge them than pretend they don't exist. So while manifesting might promise sunshine and rainbows, shooting out our butts, right? Let's not forget the joy of wallowing in our own self-pity every now and then. It's what makes us human, right? So grab your emotional toolkit, embrace the chaos, and let's make life a sarcastic masterpiece. In conclusion, all right, gather around, folks, because I've got some thoughts on this whole positive mindset. Manifesting guru-filled circus we call life. Now, don't get me wrong. Having a sunny disposition is great. Who wants to hang out with a grump all day? Not me. Let's be real. There's always those gurus lurking in the shadows, ready to suck you into their perpetual loop of spending those hard-earned dollars. My biggest gripe, when these manifesting wizards start shamming folks for things like getting sick or facing through challenges. Like, excuse me, last time I checked, manifesting wasn't some Zen garden. They're like that annoying relative who crashes your party. Better to acknowledge them than to pretend they don't exist. So while manifesting might promise sunshine and rainbows, let's not forget the joy of wallowing in our own self-pity every now and then and what it makes us human, right? Wait a minute, hold on. I just messed that up. Let's not forget the joy of wallowing in our own self-pity every now and then. Wait a minute, how is that? That's copied twice right there. How did that happen? I'm sorry. Something happened right there. I think when that got forwarded to me, because I did straight copy and paste, there was an extra section. All right, so here's the very last paragraph. But where things really go off the rails is when they start throwing around big words like quantum mechanics and trying to slap a scientific label on their crystal crunching beliefs. Like, nice try, but I'm not buying it. Look, I'm not here to rain on anyone's parade or tell you what to believe. All I'm saying is think for yourself. Don't let those gurus and those types pull the strings. You're the captain of your own ship. Buttercups, aka written by, self-made. Now, I've got a parallel to that story, as him and I were talking about my family on this one time. And then I'm going to play the video of this lady that will tie this whole thing together and introduce the Hermetic way of thinking. Me and him was talking about how I said, hold on, as he's going into that whole spiel. I said, here is the exact parallel. He goes, what? I said, there was always a discrepancy in the household between my grandfather and my grandmother. Now, during the Depression, when people didn't have any clothes, didn't have any money, there was no food, they would pray and the Lord would see to it and people would show up with food. Okay. That's just how it was. And so that, I'm sure that thought carried with her throughout it. And that principle is true, that he will. So he said, I'll supply all of your need according to my riches and glory. And your need never ends. But when people start to think that's going to take place over the top of your ability to work and get something done, it does not. So he said, I'll bless the work of your hands, and wherever you lay your hands to, I'll bless it. Whatever you find your hands to do, find it and do it with all of your might. That's the scripture. And so he was based on that principle, which is, I'll get in there, I'll put my hands to it, and the Lord will bless it. Her thinking was, well, I'll just pray and pray and pray, and then suddenly, magically, the lottery would be won and all of my needs would be taken care of. So that thought, that the power of positive thought is what they used to call it back also in the 50s, crept into the church. And so there was always a butting of heads. And where her and I would split the blanket was based off of definitely one of those principles alone, which is I would work and the Lord would bless it. So let's take a little look-see at this video. On the Hermetic ways, carrying that over. A little education for everybody. Let me know if the volume is working, and enjoy. Is the sound working, everybody? Because last time it wasn't. Can I get a yes? Can I get a yes out there? Hey, Logical Spark. Well, I'll take also an opportunity to say hello. No? What do you mean no? Sound is not working when I play this? No? Oh my God, why is this happening? It happened like this last time. Okay, let me reload that screen. This is so weird. All right.
Wondered why some people seem to have it all, while others struggle to get by? Why some people are happy, healthy, and successful, while others are unhappy, sick, and broke? Is it just luck, or is there something more behind it? What if I told you that there is a hidden wisdom that can unlock the mysteries of life and help you achieve your highest potential?
Is it better now? Sweet. Okay, let's say hello to everybody in the chat before I continue. Hey, Barry Geekler. Hi, Josh. It's Spicoli, John Galt, Trippy, Romano, Self-Made, Walrus, Uncle Guns, the best mod out there, Logical Spark, P. Fletch, Dion, Based Oracle. How you doing? Welcome in. Let's see. Anybody else? Anybody else? All right. Axel. And any viewers just treading by. Hit the like and the subscribe.
A wisdom that has been passed down through the ages by secret societies and occult masters, but is now available to anyone who seeks it. A wisdom that can transform your mind, body, and spirit, and align you with the natural laws of the universe. It's called Hermeticism. Hermeticism is an ancient, philosophical, and spiritual tradition that originated in Egypt around the 1st or 2nd century AD. It is based on the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure who was said to be the messenger of the gods and the source of all knowledge. Hermes Trismegistus wrote several texts that outline the principles of Hermeticism, which are also known as the 7 Hermetic Principles. These principles describe the nature of reality and how we can use mind to influence it. Hermeticism has influenced many esoteric and occult movements throughout history, such as alchemy, astrology, magic, Kabbalah, Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, and Theosophy. It has also inspired many famous thinkers, artists, and leaders, such as Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, William Blake, Napoleon Bonaparte, and Carl Jung. Today, Hermeticism is still relevant and popular among those who seek spiritual enlightenment and personal growth. In this video, I will explain each of the 7 Hermetic principles in simple terms and show you how you can apply them to your life. By understanding.
Is everybody enjoying the Occult Practices 101? Yes. Spiritualism is part of the occult movement, if you didn't know that.
Understanding and practicing these principles, you will be able to tap into the power of your mind and create your own reality. You will also discover the hidden connections between yourself and the universe, and how you can use them to your advantage. The first Hermetic principle is the principle of mentalism. It states that the all is mind, the universe is mental. What does this mean? It means that everything that exists is a manifestation of a single universal mind or consciousness. This mind is also known as the all, the one, the source, or God. Everything that we perceive as physical reality is actually a mental projection of this mind. This principle implies that our own mind is a part of the all and has the same creative power. We can use our mind to shape our reality according to our thoughts and beliefs. Whatever we think and feel becomes our experience.
Your perception is your reality. That's what they tell you. That's what they peddle also in therapy. And it's not untrue. Even the Word of God says, as a man thinks, so is he. If you think that's what you are, then that's what you are. If you think you're going to be nothing but a failure, that's what you're going to be. That's a spiritual truth 101. And so the occult takes the things out of the Word of God and this uses it for its own accord. Of course, it's perverse in nature, though.
This is why it is so important to be aware of our mental state and choose positive thoughts over negative ones. One way to understand this principle is to think of quantum physics. Quantum physics is a branch of science that studies the nature of matter and energy at the smallest level. It has shown that reality is not fixed or objective, but rather depends on the observer and their expectations. For example, light can behave as either a wave or a particle, depending on how we measure it. This suggests that reality is not something out there, but something in here, in our mind. Another way to illustrate this principle is to consider the phenomenon of self-fulfilling prophecies, or placebo effect. A self-fulfilling prophecy is when our belief about something makes it happen. For example, if we believe that we are going to fail a test, we might study less or perform poorly on purpose, thus making our belief come true. A placebo effect is when our belief about something makes us feel better or worse without any physical cause. For example, if we believe that a sugar pill is a medicine, we might feel less pain or more energy after taking it. These examples show how powerful our mind is and how it can.
Is the class enjoying the education tonight? Is anybody finding this more than informative and interesting? Type a 1 for yes and a 2 for no. Let me know if you like it.
Affect our reality. By applying the principle of mentalism, we can use our mind to create positive outcomes for ourselves and others.
Injured in a car accident? Want to see if you qualify for a huge check like this?
The second Hermetic principle is the principle of correspondence. It states that, as above, so below, as within, so without. What does this mean? It means that there is a correspondence or similarity between different levels of existence. The macrocosm, the large, reflects the microcosm, the small, and vice versa. The outer world mirrors the inner world, and vice versa. This principle reveals that everything is connected and interrelated in a harmonious way. There are patterns and laws that govern all aspects of reality, from the physical to the spiritual. By understanding these patterns and laws, we can understand ourselves and our place in the universe.
Do you know your place in the universe? Has anybody guessed what their role is to play yet? Some of us are still trying to figure it out.
A simple way to understand this principle is to think of a mirror. A mirror reflects back to you what you show to it. If you smile at the mirror, it smiles back at you. If you frown at the mirror, it frowns back at you. The same thing happens with the universe. The universe reflects back to you what you project to it. If you project positive thoughts, feelings, and actions, you receive positive outcomes. If you project negative thoughts, feelings, and actions, you receive negative outcomes. This principle applies across all scales and domains of life. For example, your health is a reflection of your thoughts and emotions about your body. Your relationships are a reflection of your thoughts and emotions about yourself and others. Your career is a reflection of your
It's all about my feelings. God. It's all about the feelings, huh? About what I think and how I feel. Yeah, because it's always smart to be governed by what you feel, right? Considering how you feel can change at any moment. The changing of the wind, or be like a goose who wakes up in a new world every morning. Oh, that's what smart people do, right? Right.
thoughts and emotions about your work and purpose. Let me give you a personal example of how this principle works. A few years ago, I was unhappy with my job. I felt stuck, bored, and unfulfilled. I complained a lot about my boss, my colleagues, and my tasks. I dreaded going to work every day. As a result, I attracted more problems at work, such as conflicts, mistakes, and delays. I also noticed that my personal life was suffering. I had low energy, poor health, and strained relationships. One day, I decided to change my attitude. I realized that I was responsible for creating my reality with my thoughts and emotions. I decided to focus on the positive aspects of my job, such as the opportunity to learn new skills, the flexibility of my schedule, and the impact of my work on others. I also decided to express gratitude for my job every day. I thank
In the woo-woo world, you must always express gratitude. So in turn, you will make the universe shine its happy beam of light upon you. And then all those positive affirmations will pay off. Think it, believe it, achieve it.
Thanked my boss for his guidance, my colleagues for their support, and my tasks for their challenge. As soon as I changed my inner world, my outer world changed too. I started to enjoy my work more, and my performance improved. I received more recognition, feedback, and opportunities from my boss and colleagues. I also noticed that my personal life improved. I had more energy, better health, and happier relationships. This is just one example of how the principle of correspondence works. You can apply this principle to any area of your life that you want to improve or change. The key is to align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with your desired outcome.
Okay. I don't know. Is that good enough introduction into the 101 world of the occult and how to achieve those things that were once unachievable? So another little tidbit on this. So like begats like, which is basically fake it till you make it, okay? You'll see people with fake gold, like they're wearing it or they own it. We're not talking about those people who can't afford it or something like that. We're literally talking about this principle being carried through because you want to mimic what it is that you're trying to pull in. God, I hate going too far with this, but so people who are wearing fake gold, who's trying to apply these principles and attract those things into their life because they believe it will bring the real thing to them, right? So it's like those people you'll see in the industry and like in Hollywood, they're sitting on a cardboard box at home eating, ramen noodles or something, a cup of noodles or whatever, but they're driving around a super expensive car. They're wearing really expensive clothes or other expensive accessories. Everything is about the appearance, trying to also attract those other people with that type of status and money and or power to bring that over into their own lucky charms. They're going to get it, you know. They're trying to attract the very thing they desire, which is the hermetic in origin, okay? And it's witchcraft, it's spiritualism 101, and spiritualism 101 is part of the occult, which is witchcraft. I hate to tell everybody that. So let's also take a little look-see at this one lady. But before we do that, let's also be briefed on who this one individual was, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. Used fake it till you make it to amass his wealth. He made up a fake award to affluent men from Carnegie. Carnegie wrote How to Win Friends and Influence People. My dad used to talk about all that stuff from the pulpit. I've also read that book. But Rockefeller, that he was involved with, plus many more, just to get in the rooms with those rich individuals, which is also, take a look at this thought. You'll see this very thing being mimicked right now. Award ceremonies all over the place, all the same players, all the same faces, giving the crap out to their buddies. And all the people in the industry and politicians constantly doing what? What are they always doing? They're throwing shindigs, giving themselves and their buddies awards. Gee, hermetic practices going on right underneath our noses, but yet we pretend, or we are blind. Most are blind and they do not see it. Let's move over to this new window for the presentation. This lady by the name of Gabby Bernstein. She used to be pretty big on YouTube. Lately, some of her stuff has been falling back into the algorithms. I'm not exactly sure why, but she is also peddling this along with, guess what? Other people like in the manosphere spaces. Imagine that. All of the other motivational speakers out there, they're touching on all of this stuff. Gosh, preachers all over the place. My God, I don't know who would have thought. But let's start with Gabby Bernstein. Let's find out a little bit about her history and how she is attracting wealth into her life.
Gabrielle Bernstein.
Gabrielle Bernstein.
Gabby Bernstein is an author, motivational speaker, and spiritual guru.
Calling on the guidance of the highest truth and compassion to enter into this space today.
She's also a businesswoman who sells courses and memberships on her website for earthly currency. Are her teachings helpful?
If we don't live in a way where we have full faith that the universe has our back, then what are we doing?
Or potentially hurtful?
I know how to make money, and I'm going to keep making money.
We'll explore these questions and a lot more in this video. This episode is thanks to my patrons over on Patreon. I asked everyone which guru
Bernstein has been inside of the self-help space for quite a while now.
Recently, our manifesting queen and the only hippie, Rachel Hollis, promoted her book, and ironically, shortly after that, Rachel's ex-husband, Dave Hollis, interviewed Gabby on his podcast.
Today, we're going to talk about some inconsistencies in Gabby's life story, how it seems to me that she's in very dangerous territory, acting as if she's a therapist half the.
Hey, I just wanted to read off Uncle Guns' quote. Don't forget to add frequencies, crystals, chakras, chants, incense, and the star charts. Have you been charted lately? Do you know your future? Do you know who all of the little zodiac buddies are inside of your birth chart? Here we go. And he's right. It's all inclusive. Those are all part of Occult 101 and these practices.
The time, and just a bunch of other random things that I have found watching hours and hours and hours of Gabby Bernstein content.
But before we go any further, trigger warning for suicide and baby loss. It's very important that if you are experiencing any distress about these topics, please do not finish watching this video.
All right, so first things first, who is Gabby Bernstein and where did she come from?
I personally could not find one photo of Gabby as a child, and that might be because she says she barely remembers her childhood at all.
I have no memories of my childhood. like zero.
Up to what age?
Really, I mean, I really don't even remember much from high school, but mainly like the, infant to 15 or whatever it was, right?
One thing she says she does
I can remember all the way probably about 2 years old, some of my first memories. And this broad can't remember anything. I mean, unless you're a massive alcoholic or, have other types of addictions, that's not normal. That's not normal. So let's hear why.
does remember, however, is that her family apparently struggled with money.
I grew up in a home where there was a lot of financial insecurity.
So what I heard her say there, and that sentence was sort of unclear, was that she grew up in a home with financial insecurity. Now, I guess it depends on your definition of financial insecurity. It's different for everybody. But from Gabby's own stories, her dad worked in finance, and she grew up in Larchmont, New York, which is one of the most wealthy areas in the entire country. So Gabby's family could be the exception that they were financially insecure while the rest of the neighborhood seemed to be very, very well off. But the rest of Gabby's story seems to allude that she had a pretty privileged background.
And when I was 21 years old, I was like, I made a decision. I was on my own. I was out of college. I'm going to support myself and I got to make some money. And I was promoting parties at nightclubs. My cousin.
Nightclubs, promoting parties. Got to know people in those networks to do that. That doesn't sound like, pushing a lawnmower for a living now, does it? Let's hear some more. Let's hear some more bullshit.
And owned some clubs and I started promoting parties. And one night, and I was like, oh yeah, I can totally do this, right? I can totally do this. I can get my girlfriends to say Gabby at the door, like 100%. But I was like, I can do this. I can really give myself the ability to earn some money here. And then the first night I promoted the party, my cousin handed me $1,000 cash. And I was like, in that moment,
$1,000 cash. That's a pretty sweet deal, huh? Didn't have to do anything for it, or just handing you money because you're just so damn cute.
When I had a quantum shift, I said, I know how to make money, and I'm going to keep making money.
So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the secrets of the universe. Just make sure that your cousin owns just a few nightclubs in New York City and can give you a job where you bring all your friends to hang out at the bar. And then you too can be financially and spiritually abundant. Ugh, so simple. This seems to me to answer a lot of questions that I had about Gabby watching her through the years. She started a PR company with no experience when she was 21 years old. She lived a very high-paced, fast lifestyle in New York. And it was really confusing as to how she started all this, like where the money came from. And now it makes sense. That seems to be the answer that's always buried somewhere within these self-help guru stories. They want to make it seem like they are the ones who created this abundant future. But in reality, 9 times out of 10, from what I can see, it's either a spouse, a family member, or some sort of money that was given to them to take these risks. And the more and more people I come to this space.
Most people in Hollywood are cousins of cousins or brothers and sisters. It's nepotism is the rule in the industry. Okay, so you have to be related to somebody and or be buddies or a family friend in order to gain any real traction. So she was definitely growing up with a silver spoon or a golden spoon, depending how you want to look at it, in her mouth.
This story seems to emerge over time, yet it's buried.
And speaking of spouses, Gabby is married to a man named Zach Rocklin, who used to work for JP Morgan, but since has left and now is the COO of Gabby's company.
Once again, I'm not buying that the universe provided my abundance narrative coming from Gabby this time. And if that wasn't enough, Gabby also says that her education was also a very humbling experience.
I knew that there was a book in me, many books in me, but I had no idea how to string a sentence together. I had my literary education ended in 8th grade. I had no idea how to create the structure of a book, how to write an outline, none of it.
Tell stories.
None of it.
Yeah.
And it's very important for me to share that I had zero writing experience when I started.
Writing about my inspirational stories into a career as a published author with literally zero background and no literary background. I'm tomorrow submitting my 6th book, multiple New York.
You mean you paid a ghostwriter to do it for you, and you just gave them the general premise of what you were looking to do, and then they'll go in and fill in all of the blanks, including up into the entire storyline. Okay, they'll be like, "Oh, you want to write about that?" And then they'll do all the research for you also, if anyone didn't know that.
New York Times bestsellers. And I don't say this to brag, I say this to inspire you, because 6 books later, multiple New York Times bestsellers, one #1 New York Times bestseller, and I have 8th grade English. That is the extent of my literary experience, was 8th grade English. So all of this is self-taught through the desire to put a dream into form.
Okay, so from watching those clips, you would probably assume, and I assumed before looking it up, that Gabby had not graduated from high school, or at the very least, she might have graduated from high school, but barely, or, you know, definitely didn't go to college. If she just had 8th grade English, there was no college, but that's not true. Gabby actually graduated from Syracuse University in 2001 with a theater BFA.
Theater BFA. Which they teach you when you go through theater, they teach you #1 is projection 101, how to speak, okay? Which is exactly what she's doing up there, speaking, right? Putting all those theater things into good use with that BFA that she acquired through mommy and daddy. Because, you know, you can't just go to any old college for theater and it not cost an arm and a leg. It costs money.
I guess, again, Gabby could be the exception to the rule that every other student in America, you know, needs to take English in high school and English again in college.
Uncle Gunn says, woo woo to WOB, women's wallets. You wascally wabbit. WOB.
But not Gabby. She's special. She's been selected from above, so you know she doesn't have to take those classes. In reality, Gabby already sold her first book before she even wrote it.
But I was really good at selling, so I sold my book because I had a good idea and I had built a bit of a platform. So I sold the book to a publisher, and then I was like, oh, I have to write the book.
So it wasn't even as important for her to write well necessarily. It was already sold.
And it seems like Gabby likes to downplay her education the most when she's promoting her bestseller masterclass, which costs $1,300.
Josh RPM says, so if I manifest some rich people into my life, get some money, pay a writer to build on some vague idea I took, I can also be an author. Yes, you do. Yes, you can. And I actually know somebody who's a very good ghostwriter. I'm hoping to get a interview with him shortly, and then I will introduce him also to this space. It just costs you a little money. That's all.
Or if you can't afford that right away, you can spend $1,428 over 12 months. And I think the reason that she downplays her education is because she's trying to appeal to the most people possible. If she gives out the perception that she has no education, she could barely write 2 sentences and became a best-selling author, she is obviously the most talented teacher in the world to take you, who may not have experience with writing either, and now you're going to become a best-selling author. That's the pitch I believe she's trying to insinuate by rewriting her narrative to fit the audience.
So speaking about her writing, there's another discrepancy that I find to be interesting and weird, but important to point out. Who is actually giving Gabby the words in her books?
I write every single word of my books, every single word of 9 books. Not a single word is ghosted.
Oh, did you hear that? All 9 of those books, every single word, she wrote every single word of it. But yet she started off saying she didn't know how to string a sentence together. Okay, no ghostwriters.
Maybe an editor has changed a sentence once or twice, but these are my words, my books.
Ironically, she says her words weren't ghosted, but were they spirited?
You mentioned earlier about you're really channeling these books, and I think that is writing for me is such a spiritual practice, and I feel like we are channeling books. We're not writing them. We're literally channeling through us. So what kind of practices do you use to help keep that channel of yours clear so that you can receive this divine wisdom and guidance that goes into your books?
I've lost a couple by accident, and a couple of them would need to be pulled. And now the rest of them right now are...
I make sure I'm uninterruptible. Number one. I think I also shared that I choose my magic hour. I say a prayer before I write. I just say, thank you, Spirit, for writing through me. And I do this thing that's hard to describe, but I switch to it's almost like I'm switching to a different part of my brain. And also because I am, we all are mediums, but I do hear spirit. So I can say, hey, come on in, let's go.
I'm sorry. I just don't buy this crap. I hate when people do this and say, oh, I have some sort of ability above the average human. I'm a psychic. I'm a medium. I can read your aura. I can see what you had for breakfast. I just don't believe it because there's no proof. If it's true, why aren't you going to help the police? Why aren't you at the hospital healing people? That's
Good point. If that spirit of divination is so great, then why aren't you taking it with you everywhere you go and doing some real good with it instead of just writing, books, right? I kind of want to know how much you spent for that ghostwriter. Compare apples to oranges. Just saying. I'm acknowledging you, little podcast. Thanks for showing up, and you can hit me up on Instagram, or Selfmade can set that up. Okay. Love to see you again. Thanks.
how I feel when I hear someone say like, oh, I channeled the book. Come on. And for the record, I also think that Gabby just generally thinks she's better than you.
So I could be doing way more than imaginable than the average person, which I can do. I have the capacity to do more in one day or 1 hour than people could do in 2 months. I have created far more, and I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just trying to be a powerful example of what it looks like to live a spiritually aligned life, right? I have created far more in the last 15 years than I think people could do in a lifetime.
You might agree with me on this. Like in 1 hour, I can do more than the average person can do in a day or 2 days. Okay. And that's because I do things from inspiration.
Right. So you do things better because you do it from inspiration, but the rest of us just do it for shits and gigs. For someone so spiritual, her ego is quite large, in my opinion. Now we're going to go back to the spirit guides because this is a big part of the Gabby Bernstein story. And before we go any further, I must reveal the name of Gabby's spirit guide.
My guides revealed their names to me when I was in my early 20s, and I never questioned it. And I've had many mediums that have come into my life saying, oh, I'm your guide Peter is here. And I knew that was his name a decade ago, far before it was confirmed to me with the psychic presence there with me to say, yes, you're correct. What you did believe was true.
Well,
welcome in, JP. Nice to see you.
Well, if a medium confirmed it, then I know I am convinced. If I told my therapist that someone named Peter was telling me to get on my computer and type a bunch of words all day, I think I would be presenting this video from inside a facility, if you know what I mean. And apparently Peter has used Gabby as his personal earthly secretary more than once.
At which point I feel this energy begin to move me and lift me up and bring me to my desk. And I sit down at my desk and involuntarily I place my hands on the keyboard of my computer and my fingers just start typing. And they're moving and they're moving. And all of a sudden at the top of the page, the words that were not mine came onto the page. These are the steps for spiritual surrender. Okay. So I just let my fingertips continue to go. For 30 minutes, my fingers just glided across that computer screen. And I just...
I've heard some other BS artists who call themselves preachers also say stuff like that. Just so you know. Yeah.
Let the words come onto the page, and words that were not mine, ideas that were not mine, belief systems, guidance, wisdom that was not mine came onto this page. And within that half-hour period of time, I channeled the 5 steps for spiritual surrender.
Yeah, that sounds real. Why do I keep picturing this? Another big part of Gabby's story is in 2005 when God or spirit or some...
Let's also add Shane and welcome him up here in case he has any fun tidbits to include.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Oh my God, this woman.
I know, right? I know.
sorry, we're expected to believe that she has no memory of her life up to 21 years of age. Yet she knows she attended English class until 8th grade.
Mm-hmm. Because her fingers magically start.
She's like some snake oil salesman, isn't she?
Yeah, that's pretty snake oil salesman-y to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's like the definition. This is like the correct word to use, grifter.
Yes, I would agree with that. Let's see. What did Self-Made just say? He said, what is the difference with this view and preachers look the same? Well, we haven't got there yet. So we're gonna move into some other things regarding that quickly. What do you have to say, Shane?
I do believe that there is an essential truth in all of this that they're twisting to their own end. I do believe that there is something in positivity. There is something in faith. You can make yourself ill, with stress or negativity. Your mind can reflect. A messy home reflects a messy mind.
Correct.
But these people are twisting this. I mean, if this was free, and it's like that lady said in the video, if she had some extrasensory perception and she could help the police or help somebody do no, but it's a 5-step program and buy her 6 books. It's disgusting.
Yeah, and to answer, touching on that and moving forward into what we're going to be also presenting, answer Self-Made's question. There's a lot of preachers out there who have adopted all of this type of stuff into their repertoire, and then say it's God, it's God, it's God. It's not God. It has nothing to do with God. They have to do something. I mean, so that way, if you don't get healed by the power of your positive thought, then you've done something wrong. You've missed the mark completely. You don't got enough faith. That's the other angle. So when that crap that they're peddling you doesn't work, then it still falls back on you that you just.
It seems like the ancient medieval idea that if you were sick or disabled or something, this was some sort of punishment from God, or that if you could. God is not a wishing well. You know what I mean? It's not his job to make you rich and famous. Do you know what I mean? If that's what you want. I mean, like, this is spiritually bankrupt.
Yes.
And her whole story, getting the money for going to a party. I mean, how is that like? That's not Eureka with the light bulb,
Mm-hmm. The other thing that the misnomer that's getting peddled into the church is, once you get saved, your whole life is going to be wonderful, and you'll be very few problems, and you're going to get all these benefits, like there's some kind of cash card or a credit card that you get to put in with God, as if God was here to serve you.
No,
reality check is you were put here to serve God, period.
Yeah, life is not, life is not a riddle to solve. It's a reality to experience.
Yeah, it's about the journey.
We are not here, to, how do I say this? You're supposed to be good for being good. It's its own reward. You don't get points from God. This isn't Buddhism. There's no karma.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That falls under works based.
Yeah, I mean,
but Christ came. It was faith based. It's not about your works and what you do.
Yeah, and God has a plan. God can provide. Faith is rewarded, but it's not a guarantee. We can't just all expect to get to heaven on a feather bed. It's not that easy.
No, it's not. And this preacher's daughter will be the first one to take all the air out of their helium balloons, which is, the truth is, once you get saved, that's when the trouble starts.
Oh yeah.
When you're on the other side, he don't give a shit. You ain't causing no problems. Okay. Yeah. Once you get saved, that's when all the problems start. Let's continue on with this broad for another minute.
A voice spoke to her after she was going through a crisis.
By the time I was 25, I picked up a very, very bad cocaine addiction.
And guess what? It takes a lot of money to have a cocaine addiction.
It does indeed.
That's the rich man's drug, honey.
Mm.
And I was physically drained, emotionally deteriorating, and spiritually dead. And then on October 2nd, 2005, I went to sleep, and that night, right before I went to bed, I said to myself, God, universe, whoever is out there, I need a miracle. And I woke up that morning, and I heard an inner voice, a very authoritative, loud inner calling that said to me, get your life together, girl, and you will live beyond your wildest dreams.
Wait, did God say that? Or
I don't know, Shane. Did God say that?
Somehow I highly doubt it.
I mean, that would be more like Bob Dylan. And Bob Dylan actually came out and said that, the big guy, he calls him the big guy. He said he would give him everything he wanted if he would bow down to me, which is the same thing that Satan said to Christ. He said, you see all of this? I'll give all this to you if you bow down to me. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah. Or the villain in 300, all I ask is that you kneel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
did a stranger at a recovery center say that? I only ask because in a Facebook post from 2020, Gabby wrote, 15 years ago today, a stranger at a recovery meeting gave me a promise. She promised me that if I stayed clean and sober, I would live a life beyond my wildest dreams. One day at a time. That promise has come true.
Oh my God.
Regardless of who told her what, we're going to applaud that she got sober because that is a really good thing, a big deal, and I don't want to make fun of that too much. I'm very happy for that, and I think that's a great message to put out into the world. And since we're on the positivity train, here are two more things that I don't hate about Gabby and I think are good that she's doing. Number one, she believes in vaccines.
In an interview with Yahoo Life, she said, one trend that I do think is horrific is there are some voices in the spiritual space that are really against the pandemic and putting out messages about anti-vaccination and anti-mask. And that is something I'd be happy to publicly say I do not think is right.
And the second thing that I'm happy about is that she does support the use of psychiatric medication. Now, that wasn't always the case. I guess she sort of wasn't a big proponent of that, but then has since changed her mind. And this clip kind of explains why.
I think it's
I was part of the stigma. I was out there telling people that would come to me in my talks and say,
you don't need this.
I wouldn't say you don't need this. I never ever would say that. I would say, get your therapeutic support. But I would say, but meditate. And I didn't understand that when you're having a real mental health condition where you are so out there to the point of suicide, that meditation won't work. It will work once you get back into a place of stability. It will work in the sense that if you pray, you'll be guided. But when you're in that chaos, there's no stillness. And so it's letting God work through the medication.
Yeah.
It's a tool. It's even a perceptual shift, right? The day that I picked up, I was brought up homeopathic. So I had never fulfilled a prescription before I went to go to that.
Wow. Oh, good God.
So she was brought up homeopathic. So that's another memory from her pre-21 years.
Yeah, exactly. And she's never used any medication, but she just, magically came up with this out of nowhere.
Sorry, is it even possible to be, unless you're like Amish or what's that, Jehovah's Witness? How are you brought up without any medication these days?
Actually, in some of the Pentecostal circles, they also do the same thing. Some of this is orthodoxy, but Christ said, "Physician, heal thyself," is what he said.
Yeah.
If it's within your own power and you can take care of it, take care of it. He says that once you've exhausted all your options, then you start coming to me. But until then, take care of that temple you're walking around in. Give me a break.
Exactly.
And her coke addiction, I guarantee you, started way back in her teens.
Oh, yeah. She sounds like a party girl from her teens.
Oh, look at her. She totally is a party
girl.
Especially in them nightclubs. What do they think they're doing?
Yeah.
They're snorting coke off the tables. Give me a break.
Get that.
So what was that like? Did you feel shame getting in, or did you feel
I was so grateful for.
Yes, at least she advocates for mental health. We advocate for mental health here. Yes, we do.
Something that would give me relief. I ran there. Wow. And that night I went to Dwayne Reed with my husband. He went with me. I was like, how do I even get to like, give us the prescription? We will give you the medication. I was like, is it covered by my insurance? They're like, yes, you pay for insurance. You're good. So it was like this crazy moment. And then I hadn't even taken the pill yet because I would have to take it the next morning. And I was at dinner with my husband. All of a sudden, I was like this happy, amazing person because I was just grateful that there was something that was going to help.
That is not how that medication works.
And I don't think anyone...
I'm sorry, what is that? I missed that.
That is not how the medication works. It takes weeks to build up in your blood.
And which medication are we talking about?
Mental health, SSRIs.
That's correct. I wanted you to say that. Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, just that she's lying.
Yes, you're right. It takes weeks, sometimes months, depending on the person.
Yeah,
for the medication.
At least a month to start feeling something.
Yeah, minimum.
And it's not like they call them happy pills, but that's not really what they do. You know, they keep you elevated a bit. You know what I mean? They keep you from crashing. You know, but they don't make you happy.
That's right. That's true. And sometimes they stop you from acting psychotic. Hi, Bandit. So you can.
Hey, Bandit.
So you can add your thoughts to the stream. I think he's AFK.
I'm here.
Okay. All right.
Sorry. It automatically puts you on mute, so I started talking. But oh crap! How's everybody doing?
Better now.
Sorry, I'm late. I know. I deserve the crack of the whip.
It's okay. It's right. You're in detention, so.
Yeah, it's not gonna be the first or the last time I'm in detention.
If
I think you did it on purpose to spend more time with teacher.
Yeah.
Don't tell them the secrets.
Where's my dunce cap and my ruler? Slap. All right, let's continue.
When they're in dark suffering and a life-threatening situation, would in any way deny the support.
This concept of changing your mind as you go is not inherently bad, and I don't not support changing your mind. I think that's a good thing. However, when you're a self-help guru or an author that's telling people how to live their life, and then 5 years later, something actually happens to them, something bad or something different, and now they're like, psh, all those rules, throw them in the trash. But you don't realize how many people might have taken that advice and done something in their life that is now ruined or didn't work out. And I feel like they don't take much responsibility for that. There's a nice balance between personal responsibility and guru responsibility. And I think they should be balanced. But a lot of times I think, the gurus end up just going, I'll put all the responsibility on the followers and they can fend for themselves. And if you really, truly were an empathetic spiritual leader, would you be doing that all the time? I have my doubts. Now it's time to start covering some of the more sensitive topics. I personally believe that Gabby thinks she is basically a therapist. I think this for a few reasons. One of them being that she speaks in great detail about psychological and therapeutic techniques.
I have done a deep dive of lots of therapy and EMDR therapy, which I highly recommend.
Never heard of that. What is it?
Oh, come on, really?
EMDR?
Yes. You're going to want to do this. I mean, everyone could benefit from it. And then through EMDR, you could actually walk out of an EMDR session just new, like in a moment, be like, that's clear.
Wow.
That's clear.
This is what I'm referencing right now is internal family systems therapy, which I've most recently
love.
You love IFS. Okay, great. Well, I just got I'm now trained in IFS, so I'm here for you at any time. Gabby claims in the podcast with Dave that she's trained in IFS. I don't know exactly what that means because I was under the impression that you had to be a therapist first and then could be trained specifically in IFS as like a specialty. So I'm not sure exactly what she's talking about here.
Obviously, I talk about therapy all the time and tell people, you should go to therapy. Therapy is amazing. Do therapy. This is my experience with therapy. All I can really offer is my patient experience. And I think sharing patient experiences are amazing. You should say whatever you experienced and whatever, things you didn't like and did like, and you want to share that out in the world, I'm all for it. My problem is when you start to, you've gone through a technique and then you start to explain it as if you are certified to explain how it works for everyone else. Now, going back to the whole, I believe that Gabby thinks she's a therapist thing, involves her podcast called Dear Gabby. During the episodes, people ask her questions and they often veer into very, very, very serious topics very quickly, and she answers questions as if she has some sort of knowledge on all of these different subject matters.
Here we go. Heads in takeoff mode. Let's fly.
Why are we the only birds heading this way?
Follow my lead. Uh-oh, salsa tooth.
Well, here's the thing. You are currently living in what would be considered a insecure attachment wound.
Now, I will say she does put a disclaimer at the top of every episode, but I find that to be more of a fail-safe for her, like a safety net for herself and her business, more than actually steering people away from the content.
I'm not a medical doctor or a psychologist and do not offer any professional or other medical advice. It is my intention to only share my personal experience in efforts to help release shame and stigma.
Gabby also posts the most clickbait YouTube videos ever.
Overcome anxiety in 30 seconds. This secret completely healed me. Find your purpose in 5 minutes.
Good God.
All right, there's so much I can say. I was just waiting for
a Band-Aid for everything. A quick fix for everything. In a society that everything is already instant, give it to me instantly. Yeah, no. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Claiming that you are telling your personal experiences and then demanding you should do this. Where do we blur the lines here? Like, there's one thing that says this worked for me. You should talk to your professional about it. This worked for me. This is a great idea. Or this worked for me. You should do this. Like, call to action needs to be, used very lightly when you're not a professional. Because if you call to action, you open yourself up for a lawsuit. And that's where I see the grift in my eyes, because saying your personal experiences is one thing, but when you blur the lines with, you should do this now, you're not a doctor. You're not a psychologist. You don't know the person's history. You don't know what's going on. You don't know a lot of things. And to be honest with you, it's like half these gurus are opening themselves to lawsuits and they don't even know it.
Anything you wanted to add to that, Shane?
Yeah, I mean, there is, if life was so simple, if it was just a 5-minute thing to find your purpose in life, that's just nonsense. It's there. No one who ever achieved anything in their entire life, none of the greatest people who ever lived, did it in 5 minutes. It's nonsense. It's so insulting. It's annoying that people will actually pay for this,
because everyone wants a quick fix. People need to realize it's
instant
not
gratification.
It's not the target. The target is not the problem. You should be more focused on the journey. The journey is what everybody should be focusing on. How we get there is more important than getting there.
Exactly.
When I was younger, starting the businesses and really securing myself, I was always in a hurry. If I could just fix this one problem here, if I could just get over there and finish that other thing over there, if I could just get to the end goal, then I would be happy, or I would feel secure. And my dad told me one day, he's like, the old saying, you got to stop to smell the roses, girl. He called me girl.
He's right.
He's like, I'm like, I know the saying. He says, it's not about getting to the destination. He said, it's about the journey.
He's right.
Mm-hmm.
He really is right. I mean, I saw that with my folks as well in business and working, and it amazed me, like being married and having 3 kids and running a business full time and a social life and a spiritual. It's like a never ending juggling thing. But they look back now at that time, that busy time in their life, as the best years of their life.
That's the thing, is if it's more of a mindset thing. If you can trick your head and do a lot of things for self-reflection, a lot of this drama crap goes away, because you're not focusing on, I haven't hit my target. Oh my God. And it's like a carrot and a stick. You're always chasing a target that you'll never get. But if you focus on where you've been and where you're going, that's going to center you. That's going to deal with all your stress is going to go away. It's going to give you focus. It's going to give you determination. It's going to give you everything that you need if you focus on where you were, because that will give you the idea of where you need to go and where.
And as you go through life and experience things and have failures and successes, you know what you're capable of.
Yeah.
You
and
don't
it also
need
makes you focus on the present. Because you only,
yeah.
the only
The
thing you can
present is the
control
most
the
important thing. Every conversation you have, every action you take is more important than the future. It builds your future.
That's true. And for some people who would be thinking, well, if I just hurry up and I do this and I fix this problem, all my other problems will go away. No, they don't.
No.
And at the time, I had a whole lot of things going on, not just professionally, but internally, family-wise, because I was taking care of a whole lot of people that I shouldn't have been. And so my goal kept being, just keep moving, and don't look back, because if I look back, it's too depressing to look back. But if I keep moving forward and I just keep bringing that money in, I can throw money at the problem and the problem's going to go away. That didn't work either. So, I had to learn at the time. I also had to give up the notion that I could control the circumstances when I couldn't control the circumstances.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing in life.
Yeah, the hardest thing to actually learn in life is to understand that no matter what it is that you do, you cannot control the other person or what the other person does. All you can do is control yourself.
Exactly.
You're responsible.
Change perspective. You're supposed to look at your past fondly. Like, I screwed up, but I'm still here. I screwed up. I
learned from that.
Be better. It's if you don't self-reflect, you get used by these people because they're basically manipulating you with your emotions to focus on the future instead of the present and the past. Because if
your past is who you are. We are the sum of our memories. That's who we are.
Yes, but you can also fix a lot of your issues if you look at the past and say how I handle different situations, and now I can solve my own problems currently.
You need to just examine them.
Yes, like feedback is so important. Sometimes you need to self-reflect. Sometimes you need that friend to kick you in the ass.
And you need to be able to recognize patterns in your life, behaviors.
But that's IQ.
Yeah.
So
I suppose
some people
it
have
is.
it, some people don't.
But I mean, with people, like when people will talk about red flags, a lot of the time they're not exactly red flags. They're just, they're triggering some negative thing in you. Like, I was saying this to somebody earlier today, that if you're an honest person, you can hear the truth in people and you could hear lies.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like when I hear that lady speak, the blonde lady, pardon me, I forget her name. All I hear is lies.
Well, she's got something to sell you. Here, let me interject something my old man taught me, and I'll teach it to the audience, because guess what? This is School of Thought, right? He told me years ago, because I struggled. I don't like liars. Okay. I don't like manipulators. I don't like any of that stuff. And I struggled with some of it. And he said to me, he's like, girl, a liar and a thief thinks everybody else is a liar and a thief. And you can't be one without being the other. If they're a liar, they're always a thief. If they're a thief, they're also always a liar. And so today's terms, they would be saying it's called projecting. You accuse everybody else of being a liar, or you accuse everybody else of mistreatment or things that they are doing when they're not doing them. Well, that means that's because you've done it, or you are doing it. You're projecting. That's the new term that people are using today.
We seem to see it. If anyone who probably with this audience, when people who watch podcasts, you see it in any panel show, everyone projects.
Yeah.
On each other. Their own fears, insecurities, hatreds, biases, they just project it onto people. There's no goodwill.
And another thing is, focus on anytime you hear someone spouting ridiculous stuff, wait for the grift. You're gonna hear it.
True.
You need to recognize what a pitch is. Okay, if someone's telling you insane facts or saying stuff that hits you emotionally or time sensitive, meaning do this now, I'll give you a 50% discount if you buy my product now. Any kind that's time sensitive, wait for the pitch, because the pitch is buy my stuff, or So anytime you feel like you're getting pushed or you feel like these facts are insane, just think in the back of your head, I'm getting sold a pitch. Let me hear the pitch and then see if I want to do it or not. That should help you identify what's going on before you get used.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Let's continue on a little bit more before we make this a 5-hour stream.
Use this formula to achieve anything you want today.
Here comes the formula. All the steps you need to take. The steps that you need to take. Hey, positive thought.
I swear I didn't watch this video.
Where's the paper on the wall with all your bulletin points and every day? Where's my Ferrari? Where is my star on Hollywood Boulevard? The $10 million in the bank, or just hit the gym and all your problems will be fixed, says the manosphere. Don't ever fix yourself and change your own frame of thought, and work on the fact that you might be an asshole. It's everybody else's fault, not yours.
This makes a mockery out of psychology. It makes a mockery out of people who are suffering from these conditions because, come on, 3 seconds, you're going to cure yourself for anxiety. Like that, we all know that is just not true. I get it. She wants the views. I just think when you're dealing with mental health topics that are very sensitive and very important to get right, I think that your wanting for views needs to be lower on the priority list. Now I want to show an example of Gabby going so far out of her lane, she's no longer on the road.
So I get back on my DM and I start DMing and I see this girl and she's talking to me and she's saying, listen, I was sober for 2 years. I just went out. I feel like I want to commit suicide right now. I start DMing with her. Within the hour, I'm on the phone with her. And that day she made a commitment to go back to recovery.
What? A lot of questions here. How is this appropriate at all? Basically, she's advertising here. If you have suicidal thoughts, just DM me and then I'll call you and then we'll work it out. And then you can promise to go to some treatment and then I can talk about it on my podcast. It's like, this is not your field. You are a spiritual guru. Send someone who has these thoughts to a professional, for God's sakes. Like, there's no follow-up either. Like, how are we supposed to know, number one, if this person exists? And number two, if the person does exist, did they go to treatment? Did they finish treatment? Did they go back? Did they have, what happened? We don't know because it's over DMs. Gabby herself has expressed that she's also had thoughts of suicide.
As you may have known, I had postpartum depression and anxiety and insomnia, and I'm like about 5 months into recovery from that. And at my darkest moment, Mother's Day, I said I wanted to kill myself.
Wow.
Yep.
Holy cow.
It was the darkest. I've had a lot of dark moments in my life. This is the darkest moment of my life.
When having a child was something you wrote about, is like a dream of yours.
It's a biochemical issue that happens to far more women than are actually properly diagnosed with it.
Sure.
A lot of people think, I'm just anxious because I'm a new mom. No, you're having a biochemical response to.
Does she even know what the biochemical response is? And let me tell you one of the components of that biochemical response. It's the fact that all of your hormones have plummeted into the toilet. Okay. All the progesterone, all of it, it's in the toilet. That's why women start having a lot of
you need the hormonal high to get you through the delivery process.
Yes, you need the hormonal high to develop the baby and do the whole thing, and then for the body to produce what the baby would need, to survive, aka milk, which is what we're doing more of. But at the same time, everything else is crashing. The progesterone, the testosterone is crashing. Some women, actually, even young women, believe it or not, it never ever returns back to normal levels.
There's something about the way she's describing this that doesn't seem authentic.
She's full of crap.
Well, I've heard mothers talk about this before, and it's very hard for them to talk about.
Oh yeah,
she's like, it's like reading from a script.
Yeah, and look who she's talking to. This is another thing I want to hit real quick. She's talking to a man.
Oh, sorry, you might have missed this, but it's her business partner's husband.
Oh, really? That's
her
partner's husband?
That's the person they mentioned that earlier in the video.
Oh, that's right. Going right back to that whole nepotism, working.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong. I'm all for people working networks. I just can't stand rich lying snobs. I can't stand it. I can't.
And another point she mentioned.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to bring up real quick. She's talking to a dude. Any girl that's using sympathy as manipulation tool to make you feel bad to then sell a product.
Yeah.
You have to recognize how much of a manipulation tactic that is.
I'm reluctant to mention the full details of this story, but she mentioned someone DMing her, and it was about self-deletion, right? That happened to me once, right? It was the most stressful experience of my entire one of the most stressful experiences of my life. But I had a similar thing, and it was on the telephone. Got a friend on a ledge, took 4 hours to talk him down, right?
Oh man.
Yeah.
And I had to, I promised to call him every day, and we talked every day for 6 months, and like he wouldn't go to therapy and he wouldn't take meds, but it's not a casual thing. I tell you, when you're so scared they're going to do it,
Yeah.
and it's not an anecdote you want to put in a book,
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost like survivor's guilt.
Mm.
In a sense, because you don't know if they're going to make it or not, and you feel awful if something happens. So you're like, your stress levels are through the roof, but you can't show that because then they're going to feel you're in a bad situation all the way around.
This person sent me their note, with all of their, can you look after the cat and all that stuff, and explain their reasons for doing it or wanting to do it. And thankfully I managed. They didn't expect me to find it that soon, and I was able to get to him. But it's I was totally out of my depth. Like she is out of her depth here.
Yeah, people should be reaching out to to their loved ones, and then if they don't have their loved ones, probably somebody who's in the professional field. So if you're experiencing any of that type of stuff, reach out to somebody in the professional field for
anyone.
Yes.
Birth. Got in touch with the psychiatrist. I went on antidepressants.
Wow.
Yep. 7 self-help books, right? And like, here I am.
Wow.
And I had to. It saved my life. I would have died. I would have killed myself.
Really?
100%.
It was just that much of a chemical.
I can't say that I would have killed myself because someone would have intervened before that happened,
Right.
which is exactly what happened. My therapist intervened. She's like, your tools aren't working. I was in 2 therapy sessions a week. I was talking to sleep doctors. I was
yoga, meditation,
yoga, melatonin, like everything. It wasn't working. And that's when my therapist was like, you have to have medical intervention.
Wow.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's great and totally fine to talk about your feelings and your stories when it comes to suicide, as long as you're not pretending to be a doctor to someone else, and as long as you're not giving misinformation. I don't really have a big problem with this. My only issue is this is exactly why videos like this that I was just talking about are silly, are stupid, are a waste of time. Because you got to think, Gabby Bernstein's been doing 10 years, 20 years worth of work, worth of meditations, worth of classes, with meeting with other gurus, doing Kundalini yoga, doing all this stuff that's supposed to help you live this like balanced spiritual life. And she's even feeling like this. So how can you possibly think that watching one YouTube video is going to cure all these problems? It really just puts into perspective that, a lot of this stuff doesn't work. It just doesn't work. If it doesn't work for the guru themselves, how the hell is it supposed to work for us? And I want to go back to what Lewis said just a couple minutes ago. What he said was that having a baby for Gabby was a big deal. And he's right. She's talked about that a lot.
I tried to conceive for 3 years, and I've talked very openly about that. By the time I really did the work on that struggle and that push and that control, I was at such ease and faith that I knew my baby was on the way.
As many of you know, if you've been reading my books or watching my talks, you know that it took me 3 years to conceive my son. And in that time, I went through a lot of discomfort. I went through a lot of shaming of myself, feeling separate, alone, not good enough. Why isn't my body working? Why can't I have this thing that I so long for? Feeling jealousy every time I'd go on social media and see other women with their babies and their bumps and the whole thing. I've spoken very publicly about how it took me several years, 3 years to conceive. And I had to adjust my belief system to allow myself to be in a state of alignment to really manifest what became my child, but birthing this boy. He's a big story throughout the book. And a big part of it was about having to just really do a complete adjustment of my attitude and my belief systems and really walk my talk as a spiritual teacher and a manifester and someone who believes in a higher power. And so I made that commitment in my own life. And then it was really clear that this was something I had to start to write about in a bigger way.
I don't know what she wrote about. Did she write about the fact she more than likely went the what do they call it?
Scientific method.
The scientific method of hormone replacement therapies and everything else. More than
Vitro.
yeah, in vitro IVF.
Okay, so I have a problem with saying that you manifested your baby. Let's watch a little bit more of that clip where she spoke on Oprah's stage.
But when we ask, we will always receive. It's the law. We will receive. As it turns out, the universe had a plan far greater than I did. The plan wasn't that I was going to get pregnant in the exact moment in time that
There's 5 more minutes left. Do we want to watch the rest of this or just move on? I say we move on.
I say move on.
Yeah.
I say move on. Uncle Gun says, now tie it all in. How the sphere gurus use the same methods to manifest their way into your wallets.
Wallet.
Yes. Let's do that. All right. What's the next one on the list? Oh, here we go. Let's show a preacher, so-called preacher. Now, this guy by the name of Joel Osteen, let me tell everybody right now, I looked up what it takes to become even a member of his so-called quote-unquote church, social club, conference meetings, okay? You have to spend more than $6,000 a year to maintain a seat. Does anybody know this? No. Most people don't know that. It's more than 6,000, and that's for the nosebleeds. All right.
God.
To hold a seat a year. This is yearly membership fees, just so everybody knows. And his dad started off kind of okay, but this guy, definitely a bit of a wolf in sheepskin clothing.
Yeah.
Is anybody else here familiar with him?
Not the name, but I imagine where this is going. This is like a big church, is it?
Yeah,
it's huge. It's more than, I think, 50,000 people.
Wow.
It can hold like 50,000 plus.
That's a lot of freaking money.
It is a shit ton of money. Yeah, indeed.
Okay, 6,000.
Barry says that's cheaper than being a Mormon in good standing, though. Or
that reminds me of that Genesis song.
That's $300 million, just to give you.
Oh my God!
Yeah, look, my, ain't he so pretty? My dad used to say that from the pulpit. With his nice, soft hands and his pedicure and his manicured hair. And look, oh my God, his skin looks better than mine right now as a woman. And I haven't been to the dermatologist and done anything great in a long time. No peels.
Look at the hair.
Yeah, it's very coiffed. Yes, indeed. Let's just, it's just a quickie. Let's see.
Osteen is arguably the most famous celebrity preacher in the world. He's known for his feel-good prosperity gospel messages that encourage you that your best is yet to come and you will live your best life if you follow Jesus. Positive and likable guy. But what if there's a dark side to Joel Osteen and Lakewood Church? Pastor Mike Winger comes out of the Calvary Chapel movement. In recent years, his online ministry has exploded to over 500,000 subscribers. Well, several months ago, Pastor Mike Winger made a video breaking down a Joel Osteen sermon. I thought it was rather...
Did anybody hear that? Calvary Chapel.
Mm.
Did anybody catch that? Where there's some people in the space who tout that they came from Calvary Chapel.
Oh, yes.
Who argued with me and had shit to say about my old man that I would have took my Bible and thudded him in the side of the fucking head for. This preacher's daughter. Yeah, I got a temper. By the way, like I said, A.A. Allen, I talked to his son, and he said, those people in Calvary Chapel are batshit crazy. He didn't say batshit crazy. I'm saying that. He does not speak in that manner, but I do. And Olstein's bit. Thank you, Ruslan, for using this little clip. His whole thing is there's basically no sin.
Oh my God!
Everybody, no sin, and Jesus is just your little buddy. He's like the little plastic Jesus on your dashboard, rocking back and forwards, and you got your get out of jail free card with I call it the Jesus card. It gets you out of everything.
Sounds like heresy.
Oh, you think? It's all about the money. Yes, the best is yet to come. What
was that phrase from the New Testament? It's easier for prosperity Bible. It's easier for a rich man to get a stone through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get to
into
heaven.
heaven. That's right.
Yep.
Why is that? Because their God is their MONEY.
Mm.
And I could
And
roll.
also-
I could roll into that old jazz standard. Thank you, Frank Sinatra. The best is yet to come, but I'll spare everybody at the moment. Let's finish this little.
Gracious and compassionate. He didn't dismiss him as a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yet nonetheless, this led Pastor Mike Winger to receive a copyright strike from Lakewood Church. Initially, Joel Osteen.
Oh no!
Copyright strike! Oh my God! You can't use anything of his. Especially
Look at that auditorium.
See. I told you.
Wow.
Yes.
That's like the Roman. That's like the Colosseum or something, isn't it?
Hell yes, it is. Let me make you feel good. Yes, the Bible says, "Teachers with itching ears, preaching to me a smooth thing."
Osteen's Lakewood Church took all the AdSense from the video, and then they escalated it to be completely taken off the internet.
Ruslan. There we go. Thank you, Ruslan. That was a little introduction to that guy.
He
So
reminds
now-
me of that Phil Collins video, "Jesus, He Knows Me." Do you remember that song? It's like he plays a fake preacher, Genesis, the band, and it's
I think
touch the screen.
Yeah, I
It's like,
vaguely remember that, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, but it's about guys like him. It's like, Jesus, He knows me and He knows I'm right. Been talking to Jesus all my life.
Yes,
just send the money here from your, but it was like a TV ministry,
Yes. Okay, so like I said, my old man, he would talk about, the power of positive thought, right? So this man by the name of Napoleon. Well, we spoke about Napoleon Hill, but let's talk about the other guy 1 second. I got the wrong screen up for some stupid reason. Norman, where are you? Norman Vincent Peale. Born, May 31st, 1898. Died in 1993. He lived a long ass time. American Protestant clergyman and an author best known for popularizing the concept of positive thinking, especially through his best-selling book, The Power of Positive Thought. He served as a pastor of Maribel Collegiate Church, New York from 1932, leading the Reformed Church in America congregation for more than half a century until his retirement in 1984. Alongside his pupil ministry, he had an extensive career of writing and editing and radio and television. Also, despite arguing at times against involvement of clergy in politics, he nevertheless had some controversial affiliations. Sorry, I couldn't see it very good. I should put my glasses on. With politically active organizations in the late 1930s and engaged with national political candidates. In their
FDR. That's the FDR period.
Yes, having influence on, but it would be influence on the church. You get how that works. Now, I remember young when Bush was going at it again, and Kenneth Copeland was. My mom dragged me to one of his meetings in Anaheim, which I don't like. I don't like the guy. Anyways, he was standing up telling everybody that he's been associating himself with Bush and that all of us Christians should be flocking over there with our little wings, and go over there and vote for Bush. The two.
I believe there is a strong, core of Republican voters who vote religiously, isn't there?
There is.
Evangelicals.
Yeah. I started hearing this the last 30 years,
Yeah, because you start talking about God and then their little ears start perking up, except for the fact they have zero discernment. I would had multiple arguments. Multiple arguments with people who are in the church who were thinking they were going to vote for, what is that guy's name? He's half Cuban. And he looks like
Rubio.
Rubio.
Yeah, Rubio, and then the other one. It was Rubio and the other one. Cruz.
Yeah,
Ted Cruz. Rubio is a flaming sex addict and a switch hitter, and they got pissed off. And then I turned around and I said, in Cruz, I said, that guy is a closet dirty pervert, typical so-called Christian type dirty pervert. And then later on, it came out that he was on the Heidi Fleiss.
Oh, her.
Yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. So where's all the discernment with all you Christians out there, huh? Where is it? You ain't got none. So let me finish reading.
And he's a lawyer.
Yeah, of course he's an attorney. Of course he is.
I just going to put that out there. Just
So Norman also having influence on some, including a personal friendship with President Richard Nixon. The commie son of a bitch. Anyways, this guy has a whole thing where he merged in the 1950s the evangelical, or whatever you call it, that religious movement, with psychology. And for everybody out there in Radioland who doesn't understand this, the word psyche is Latin, and it actually means spirit. Does anybody know that? That actually means the word spirit. So how are you going to use something that is of a tangible, here, I drink this water, it's going to solve my problems, to deal with the spiritual issue?
Yeah, there's supposed to be a separation between the temporal world and the spiritual world. We can't do it.
Some might even call it witchcraft.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know, you mentioned Nixon, that he was the biggest beta ever.
I don't know anything about that. Why? Well, how
well, his wife, Pat Nixon, he met her in college, in freshman year in college, and he asked her out on a date, and she said no. And she was the popular cheerleader guy, and he couldn't make the football team. So just to be near her, he drove her on all of her dates, right? And was her escort. And he was there. And she went out with guys for years through college, and he ended up marrying her. And she just sheer persistence, like the Ben Shapiro, but for like 3 or 4 years. And he was strangely loyal. He never cheated his whole life on her, which was unusual for an American person.
Yeah. What about any of those? Have you ever read any of the self-help books or anything like that? Also, by the way, I'm just kind of curious.
I read Carnegie's. I read Carnegie's How to Make Friends and Influence People, but it was about 30 years ago.
Yeah,
I avoid all of these self-help books. I believe you should actually help yourself and figure things out yourself. And if I have a problem, I'll go to an expert. Thank you.
I know.
One
right?
thing with like the spin it with the PUA kind of stuff. Like, okay, if you're a beta, you're going to get, and now you're the president of the United States. Wow, talk about a connection there.
But the thing about Nixon, though, he had an anger about that and a will to make himself better and more important and more powerful.
But why was he angry?
He grew up in extreme poverty, and he lost brothers to tuberculosis.
But
from poverty.
Look at same thing can be said about Truman. But Truman wasn't. Truman lost everything. There's a reason why they have presidential pensions now, because Truman was destitute when he was older.
That's right.
So that doesn't really fly too well. I'm just saying, when you have a weak person that's beta, that acts beta, in a sense, you're going to have anger issues. You're going to have mistrusting women issues. You're going to have paranoia.
Nixon was terribly paranoid.
I know.
Terribly paranoid. You can actually, his White House tapes are available to listen to. You can hear his telephone calls. You can hear how he speaks to people. Paranoid is putting it, he wanted to bug everyone.
Yeah. And that's the sign of that's the reason why, is because when you're dealing with these kind of people, you become easily manipulated, and because you get easily manipulated, you lose trust in everything, because you figure, I've been burnt once, I'm going to get burned again. I can't trust people now because I get burned all the time. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to wiretap people. I'm going to do everything because I don't trust people now, because I've been burned in my past.
Speaking of which, it kind of sounds like most of the men in the unfortunate manosphere space these days. Let's take a look real quick at Sneeko, and then we will comment and continue on. Oh, and welcome to the stage, also Trippy.
Hey, Trippy.
You might not be confident. You might not always feel good about yourself. Maybe you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about half the time. Pretend like you do. Everybody is faking it on a day-to-day basis. My confidence is my persona. Talking to girls used to be the most terrifying part of my life. But today, they call me a fuckboy. And that's a good thing if you didn't know. The trick is simple. Just imagine you're Bruce Lee or James Bond or Kill Bill. Whatever fictional character you admire, walk around like that's who you are. Batman isn't wondering where to put his hands when he's standing still at a party. Indiana Jones made it cool for a white dude to use a whip. I started this back in my private middle school when I got tired of being the lil nerdy ching chong to the rich white boys. And that morning when I slipped on my Let Up Skechers, I wasn't just a horny 12-year-old, but I was Bruce fucking Lee.
He's Bruce effing Lee. Look at all that confidence with a face like that.
Well, you ever know? But hang on, Bruce Lee was famous in his movies for not going after women.
I know, and one hell of a martial artist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like in his movies, like
Bruce Lee's saying was, "I fear the man that throws the same punch 10,000 times than a man that knows 10,000 punches."
Mm.
So it's all about discipline and practice with him, which is the opposite of Sneeko.
And a horny 12. Oh, don't get me started.
Well, the thing is with Sneeko is this whole fake it till you make it is garbage, because it means that you have an unmediated self and an unmediated confidence. Now, you're supposed to have some confidence, but if you don't know something, you're supposed to ask. You're supposed to know if I'm doing it right, how to improve. What's the saying? You need to have 10,000 hours into something to be a master at something. If you have this unbridled confidence, how do you expect to grow as a person? How do you expect to not be using people? Because I know I'm confident. I don't need your advice. It makes people vain. Almost all the deadly sins can be portrayed into having too much self-confidence.
That's not really what fake it till you make it means in this context, though. Fake it till you make it is not necessarily a negative or a harmful trait. Okay, it's like a guy starting a sales job. You're going to get so many no's before you get your first yes. Okay, so they're taking a sales principle. Death of a salesman. Death of a salesman. Anybody out there?
Oh yeah.
Okay, death of a salesman, and you're applying the principle in sales and how to achieve the goal. Tell himself. Break it down for him.
Hold on, I gotta fix some music here.
I was just saying for his character flaws. I was going after his character.
I'm not going after character flaws or like my own thing because of whatever, dude. What I'm saying is like this is the reason why we did this whole thing. I don't even think Star got the whole like condescending tone in my whole manifesting thing. Article was that is become a problem, and they self-shame people in the manifesting world that if they got cancer, they deserved it upon themselves. So the law of attraction and the whole Hermetic principle going back all the way to Hermes Trismegistus during Egyptian times, and then ruled over to the Roman Catholic Church that picked up a lot of the teachings of that. My whole thing is that everybody in every marketing agency, and I think me and Shane were talking about the Gnostic principle, which is what's the other word for it? It comes from the Latin word of
cognition,
which is cognitive dissonance, and then you go into that, which is a feminine trait.
Gnostic means wisdom, but it also means feminine wisdom.
Yes, and every grifter, I mean, it's not just people in certain spaces. It goes, this whole manifesting thing that got popular again, because it was huge when The Secret with Oprah. And then now it's back into the mainstream again, that, you know, I can just wish it and it's going to happen. That was my biggest, my.
But it's a self-destructive. It's self-destructive. You see it with these girls on these podcasts, you know, where they're going to manifest their husband or manifest their kids or their lives, but yet they're willing to do nothing to make it happen.
No, that's the thing. They're just wishing and wanting and then like pissing in the wind. That's all they're doing.
You know, I do get it. Okay, I've touched on it, but there's a whole lot that we are kind of interweaving. You realize that there's a lot that I've interweaved into getting the thought across that it's a grift. I started off midway with this saying that when you don't get what you want by manifesting, like if you go through the prayer line, you've done all the manifesting you can with the power of positive thought. Okay, that's what they would also call it. And you don't get healed, guess what? It's your fault. You get healed. You know why? Because you didn't have enough faith.
You had not enough faith to get up out of that wheelchair.
Exactly what you just said. So you must have stepped away when I said that.
Yeah, no, it's
probably. I have like 20 different things going on, but yeah, the whole grift of it is like, dude, I hear people get on these podcasts, and I'm not going to name names because personally I know a lot of them. And they'll say things of the sort like this, which aggravates me, is, oh, my emotions weren't right, so I couldn't do this business deal. Business has no emotions.
Nope.
Let's get this correct. It's mathematical and it has no emotions. Let's go back to Rodney Dangerfield. When people LARP that they're business owners or LARP, they're in the business scene, right? What did he say? We're going to build this business in fantasy land. What about the Teamsters? You're going to have concrete. You're going to have to pay this guy. You know what I mean? Like, this is just like, let's speak in reality and not the woo-woo fantasy world. And that's one thing that Star brought out, that it's happening inside the prosperity churches, the Pentecostal money magic churches, the red pill space. Then you have it going on in just regular society of the straight woo-woo.
It's greed. It's like what Bandit said. It's the 7 deadly sins, all of it. Lust, greed, gluttony.
Yeah,
it's got everything in it. Loss. Yeah. I mean, it's all of them, really. Envy. You know, they envy. They want the Bugatti. They want the, you know, that life.
Well, any good sales pitch kind of uses the seven deadly sins to get your point across.
Now, if he isn't busy right now, somebody to really get up here on this panel would be Uncle Guns, because he could tell you about all of this from another aspect, not from a Christian point of view. He is a Christian now, but from where he started and where he ended up, because like he has dealt with all of this.
Uncle Guns, are you willing to come up here and give us a little brief on that? I only got room for Uncle Guns, so Uncle Guns, he's all quiet. You coming?
Yeah, he's probably in another chat, modding somewhere else. That's what's going on.
I know, like I would have 4 windows open. I started getting to that point, but I wasn't listening to anything. I was just watching the chats, you know.
What did you?
Yes. Okay. Here you.
After show. Why not during, man? Let it out, brother. Let it out. Uncle Guns dating course.
This is for Uncle Guns. Click that StreamYard. Give us a small briefing.
How about you, Trippy? What says you about all this?
Yeah, in the manosphere space and everybody else who's using it. Think. Believe. Achieve.
I mean, I'm here. I didn't want to be here.
Oh, you didn't?
I mean, obvious, but you know, whatever. All these people are fucking grifters. Sneako's a piece of shit. He's a fat-headed little fucking cunt.
Did you see that thing I sent
yesterday? End
yesterday?
up being when you actually see them in their real lives. All they want is fucking money, and they'll do whatever it takes to get it. Like Star, I don't know if you saw the clip of Sneako in that airport when those little kids came up to him. And the little
the
kids
hot
are
two
like,
thing.
yeah, the little kids are saying stuff like, we hate women, and he's like, no. And the kids, they're like 6 and 7 or some shit. And the kids look up to him, they're like, yeah, we hate women. And then he says, no, we love women. And he's like, yeah. And the kid goes, yeah, except for the, the T-word ones. But he says the actual, thing, like transmissions.
Transmissions.
He was on the way he's converted to Islam.
Yes, I know that.
He was on with the British Islamic scholar, and they were talking about marriage to 13-year-old girls and how it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now Sneeko was having an issue with this, and this other man was trying to convince him it's okay. But I only saw a clip of it, but it was foul what they were talking about.
Well, that's kind of the problem with all of this, is because at the end of the day, it's coming down to, we don't really like women. We're using women as a tool, and they don't have any rights, and they're like second-class citizens. So, gee, I can't imagine where all that stuff is coming from.
Then there's another problem as well, that we women use men as tools as well as money. It's certain types of women, that we have lost something as a society. Our spirit, we've lost that human connection. We're all so isolated now. We've lost our communities that we used to have.
We're also so full of ourselves and serving ourselves and our wants and our needs and the whole 9 yards, that we have forgotten that there are other people.
Yeah.
Then we wonder why relationships go wrong and family units go wrong and friends fall away, because, you're not an island unto yourself.
Everything needs maintenance. You need to make that call. You need to call your brother, your sister, your mom, whoever, all relationships need maintenance.
100%.
Yeah, that's true. I guess Uncle Guns isn't going to come up. What a bummer. I really wanted to hear his assertion of the whole, where it started, ended, and that's kind of a bummer.
I would say about this thing is there is a lot of there is something in positivity and self-belief, but it needs to be genuine. It can't be, something. It needs to be something you discover for yourself. I think, you can will yourself to get better if you're sick. It's not necessarily a faith thing. It's a belief, or an acceptance of whatever is going to happen. It's going to happen.
But it needs to be measured. It needs just, everything is like to the extreme today. If you need to be centered with a lot of this crap. Like, you can't just like, oh, I'm going to will myself $1 billion. Like, no, that ain't going to happen. I might be able to will myself $100 if I decide to work at, Uber Eats for a couple hours. Yeah, that could happen, but
you also have to help yourself in those things. Like, if you want money, you have to work for it.
Yeah.
If you want, if you want a relationship, you have to work for it. You have to earn it.
And you have to maintain it. It just isn't, you get married, there's nothing left to do. No, that's
the beginning of it. People think that that's the hard part. Getting married is the easy part. It's afterwards is the hard part. It's like having like children. It's raising them afterwards is the hard part.
Correct. And the relationship, you got two people who are getting older and growing and doing different things. And so the dynamics.
And it's very, very easy to grow apart.
Oh, it's very easy to grow apart. Yeah. The dynamics start to change.
Yeah.
And you have to adapt with it.
Yeah, yourself, like your mind at 18 is very different at 28, at 38,
Oh, absolutely. Like, I didn't care anything about Paul. There's a lot of things I didn't care about back then.
Yeah.
And stupid. You're stupid on top of it.
You really are. Really, it's like, but it's made worse by thinking everything.
Yes.
When you're 18, when you're 17, 18, you think you know everything and you're so confident of everything and you end up being so wrong. And that's a very humbling thing I think we all need to experience. Things that that your grandparents might have told you.
What happened?
I think we lost. Did we lose?
Uncle Guns. Yes.
Oh, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
right, what was the question?
Yay! Uncle Guns.
What do you make of this? What do you make of all of this stuff?
Of all the woo-woo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
And how it's
you know,
pieces.
well, I mean, nothing can replace going out and doing something. Nothing. You know, not a single thing. I don't like gurus. I don't like method. I don't like teachers, even though I am one myself. You know, the oldest sayings are the most true, and you know, one of those sayings is, learn from your mistakes is knowledge, and learning from the mistakes of others is wisdom.
True.
And I'm a big believer in that type of stuff. I'm a big believer in, you know, the Spartan way of things, of pulling people aside and you know, teaching them the way of things. But it's so easy because there's so many distractions in this life. It's very easy for someone to get hooked on something that's outside of themselves. You know, these things are built in to absolve people of judgments, of doubts, of accountability, of any kind of decision making. It's to absolve you of any sort of decisions by making you think you're making those decisions. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, because there's this force outside of you, and it pulls you away from the self. It pulls the person away from the self, and absolves them of any wrongdoing, of any accountability. It's not your fault. It's the universe. Just tap into this thing and you'll be okay. No, because if that were true, then, you know, I guess I said in the chat, I guess the starving children weren't in the correct frequency today. You know, I guess the
yeah.
You know, I guess you know, the whatever it is, you know, I fill in the blank. It has to apply across the board. That's how you know it's the genuine article. It has to apply across the board. That's how you know you got the real deal. You know, I always speak about I have discussions and arguments about what people think the truth is, and people will say, oh, the truth this, and they put words before and after the word truth. They put, well, this is the objective truth, this is the subjective truth, they put words before and after truth. The truth cannot be debated or argued. It can't be. It doesn't need an extra word before or after.
Uncle Guns, it's my truth.
It's my truth. It's subjective
my
truth.
Is the one that matters.
I blame Oprah for that phrase, you know.
Right.
Fire in my heart.
Fire is
my truth.
Yeah, fire is hot. Fire is hot. And that can't be debated or argued against, because you can prove it to every single thing on this planet.
Yay, welcome in. Ace, how you doing?
Oracle. I can tell by the voice.
Very good.
Oh, wow.
Damn. I never heard Uncle Guns before. What's up?
How you doing, buddy?
You speak very well.
It's weird, right? It's almost
very
like
good. How are you?
I'm trying to get to your show, but you started getting real busy real fast.
You what? oh, I got you. Yeah.
I tried to hop up on your show early on when I was with you, but you got to getting busy real busy real fast, man.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your help with that, by the way. You're one of two mods left on my team.
Well, yeah, I noticed that. You need a couple other good ones.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get any more at this point, but you know, it comes with drama at times. It comes with bullshit at times. None from you, and I appreciate that very much. But yeah, is what it is.
Yeah, I get a lot of flack. I get a lot of flack, and I'm sure Self-Made and Bandit and a couple of guys who've known me for many years now will tell you, I don't take sides, and because I'm mob for so many people, and I've been in this space for so darn long, and I know, I'm like Trippy. I know everybody. Everybody. I've worked with everybody. I've worked with all kinds of circles, and people will come to me. Hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? What's the scoop? What do you think of this? What do you think of that? I'm like, I don't know. Go ask them. Ask them. It has nothing to do with me. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. That's between the two parties that are bickering. You work for them. Yeah, so what? So what? It doesn't mean I agree. I gravitate towards the voices who will speak on their mind regardless of the consequences.
And one of the most important things for women is understanding that even though you're the queen, you're still the king's wife. Your value is in the ability to keep a high value man. I'm sorry that you don't like that, but that's how the world looks at it. And again, I deal in reality. You are judged heavily on the caliber of man you can keep, not get, not deal with, but keep.
I'm so fed up with people who just state the obvious for a living. My God.
Well, he dead, so I don't know if he's living.
Yeah, for a deading.
He's gone.
Didn't he die on the job, as they say?
He had a woman at his place. I know that.
He did. He played it smart. Kevin Samuels, whether you like him or hate him, he played it smart. He was with a traveling nurse.
Yeah. And I heard the 911 call she made, and she was trying to get through the 911, and they were basically ignoring her. And she's like, I'm doing chest compressions and mouth to mouth and shit, trying to bring her up. Yeah, they were just like, basically, it seemed like the 911 operator was like, sorry, we got more important calls to tend to.
It's scandalous, isn't it?
Kind of feels like that anyway.
Was that during the pandemic? I can't remember. I think it was.
It would have been.
I could also show you the 911 call that Brittany Murphy's mother made to the, that's on YouTube. If you want to cry.
Oh, that was shocking, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's weird listening to. Anyways, that was a bring down moment. Sorry.
Yeah, but
there, with the topic, there are plenty of people. There are plenty of people in any space that are willing to sell you, a dream. But I can tell you right here and now, I love playing the villain because that's going to be in my goddamn tombstone. Here lies Uncle Guns, the goddamn villain. Is the vast majority of people in this sphere are not who they pretend to be. It's a facade. It's a character they play.
Oh yeah.
And when they shut off the cameras, they are not that person. I will tell, Base got to know this when I first hopped on with him. I'll tell everybody when they first meet me, and Self-Made will tell you this. I forged the nails that built this place because I was there in the beginning, early YouTube, with the early days with PUAs and the whole thing, and when it fell apart, when the whole thing
this was like 12, 14 years ago.
Yeah, I was on the forums. I was on the internet forums in 1998, back when it was chat rooms talking about women. And it's come a extremely long way. And first it was guys helping guys out. Now it's become what you saw in the videos tonight. It's become I can save you. Buy the snake oil. Buy my. Now look, are there some good people out there that will help you out, and some good guys that want to see you do well? Yes, but my number one thing that I'm hated for, that a lot of people disagree with me, that I get a lot of the most, the thing that makes me the villain, and I'll be glad to wear the damn black cloak, is that 85% of males are just that. They're males. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. Sorry, and I'm not sorry. You're not going to make it. There's a gene pool for a freaking reason. It is survival of the goddamn fittest, and it's males versus men. We are not the same. When I watch the majority of my videos, I have to censor it in my head because they say men do this and men do that. Well, you're not talking about men. There is no high value. There, again, like I was said about the truth earlier, there is no words before or after the word man. You're either a man or you're not. That's it. Males and females, to me, in my universe, the universe that I exist in, because I'm a hardcore mofo, I'm a pipe hitting mofo. Okay, the universe that I exist in, you're either a man or you're not. There is no, the males and females are NPCs to me. They, I'm forced to interact with them because of circumstances, but we are not the same. Most people could not exist in my world. Because the first thing I'll do, I'll take away your cell phone and your air conditioning and watch you start bitching.
That would do it.
Small comforts that you're used to, yes. And
Do you remember the first Spartan law on Good Guns? All men are not created equal.
And neither are women. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. Star can't even reach the top of a doorway, right?
So, Guns, what is the litmus test
True.
for you?
As far as men?
Yeah, I know we've talked about this. We've chatted about this a bit, and you've heard my takes, but what do you think the litmus test is for you to make that distinguishment?
It's absolute, transparency. It's absolute transparency. There's no need there's no need for lies. It's all about actions. If I say something to another person, and if I can't deliver on it, I'm going to tell you I can't deliver on it. If I can deliver on it, then I will. It's authenticity. It's building a trust. It's letting the person I'm dealing with know that I'm reliable. I'm not one of those. I'm not a male out there. There's no such thing as fear. If I say I'm going to do something, that's it. I'm going to do it. It's going to get done.
So bravery, right? In a sense.
Yeah, in a sense.
And reputation as well, and integrity, your word.
Right.
Uncle Guns, can I ask you a question? Can you talk about your woo-woo journey, and then we'll touch back into the spaces?
What do you mean woo-woo journey? Oh, yeah. I mean,
Go ahead.
What do you want to know about?
What led you to that type of stuff? Were you actually in that type of stuff? Did you just learn about it? Like, what all happened?
Well, I mean, I've always been a guy that travels. I traveled a lot when I was a young man. With my dad was, traveled a lot, so I traveled with him. I did a lot of what do you call, like, school, summer camp counselor. I was, co-lifeguard type stuff. I've always been in that sort of leadership guy you can trust role. And, I've always enjoyed interacting with different cultures, different people. It really is a great big world that you can have anything you want. I believe in an almighty, and that almighty puts things on here for you to do as you wish. And what you do with it is completely up to you. And so part of that is I have indulged in what I refer to as the spiritual supermarket. Whether it be I believed it, or I wanted to try it, or I wanted to experience it. I've stepped into the churches, the synagogues, the ashrams, the temples. I've done all the, what I call the dog show, the sit, stand, kneel, pray, the dog show. I've participated in all these things, and it to me, it's something that it's many paths to one single location. All roads lead to the same thing, and there, it's all God in the end to me, and it really doesn't matter to me what you choose, because if you had believed this belief or that belief, it still leads to something greater than you outside of you. Now, the people of the woo-woo have taken this concept, twisted it, warped it, and again made you believe, it's not your fault. And like you said in the beginning, if you just wished
Everything
it, if
is
you
your
just
fault.
believed it,
Everything's your fault.
Right, the magic wand, and it's and now, look, I mean, I'm also a big purveyor of, if you think something's going to work for you, like Oracle said, litmus it, test it, see if it works for you. If it works for you, great, awesome. I'm not going to take that away from you. I'm not going to take that away from you. Everybody has something that works for them, and I'm not going to take it away from you.
Different strokes for different folks, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to do it.
I've tried different strokes.
I'm sure you have.
And I do recommend it.
And he recommends it. Okay. All right. And what about what you've seen, how it's affected in the male spaces? What would you ask?
Well, Star, it's not about grip strength. It's about speed.
Oh my God. Okay.
You were asking me. I guess you were asking.
I was asking Uncle Cut.
Okay.
All right. You calm down.
I've seen it turn into, helping males become men, and now it's slowly devolved into the woo-woo. It's not your fault. It's blame women. It's distrust women. It's hate on women, and they're icky and they're the bad guy, and it's not your fault. But at the same time, you got to get muscles to get the woman you want. You got to have money to get the woman you want. You got to do this.
True.
And I'm gonna sell you that. I'm gonna sell you a course. Look, again, is there some stuff out there that works? Yes, but I also have to measure that against what I said earlier. 85% of guys aren't going to make it. Okay, 85% of guys, if they buy a course, it probably could work for them if they apply it for themselves. But the vast majority of guys that I've seen, they will get a decent course, or they will get some sort of mentorship or counseling, and the problem is they'll get the sauce, and then they will go out there and they will make the mistake of doing their own version of the sauce instead of what the mentor was trying to convey. They will do their own version of the sauce, and it will fail royally, and then it'll spit them right back into the system. Now, here's the crazy part. Here's the part that everybody's been waiting for me to say. Some people out there, and I won't name names, some people out there have some people, some coaches, some systems, some programs out there have created, they know this. They know exactly what I know because they're coaches. They know that a lot of guys are going to fail. They know a lot of guys are going to do their own version of the thing. And so they have designed their the majority of their criteria around this, knowing that guys are going to screw up and then get spit right back to them.
That's
and
right.
so they can collect more money.
Ropes them in constantly.
Like the Osteen thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
no, that's absolutely
so
correct. Did you want to bring up the fact that most of these guys who are males have an ego problem?
Yeah,
that's the failure rate is your ego.
Right. That's the ego. That's the ego I spoke of. You get a lot of here's the manosphere, and here's the sphere, and here's the man space in a nutshell. I'll quote the legend himself, Mr. Tony Bruno, a mentor of mine for sure, and his brother George. You know, the ticket to the manosphere is some sort of trauma. The ticket to most guys in the manosphere is some sort of trauma. They go to YouTube, they go to online, and they type in, you know, my girlfriend left me, or how do I get divorced, or why did my girlfriend leave me? Why did my wife divorce me? Because they're hurting. They don't you know, they don't know what happened, so they're looking for answers. So they come here, they get the knowledge, they get awakened. You know, some of them make the mistake of taking the stupid pill. They get awakened, they get this knowledge that they never had before. And that's really the origin of the original red pill was just the knowledge of the court systems and the family court. That's it. That's where it began. That's where it stops, and that's where it ends. Is that, you know, there is a female advantage in the court and family court. You know, child custody, marriage. There is an advantage by the other side, and that's it. But people took it and twisted it again. So they get this newfound information. They get this newfound enlightenment, and then they learn all this terminology that completely and totally makes sense to them. And then they run back out there, and boom, you know, next thing you know, they're getting girls, they're getting responses. You know, maybe they might work on their body. Maybe they might, you know, get out of debt a little bit. Maybe they might work on their, you know, a better job or anything. They'll do some self-improvement in life, and then they'll get a couple of girls, and then the success goes to their head, and then they start doing, the ego gets in the way. And what usually will happen is because their ego got in the way, they start repeating the previous behavior that got them in trouble with the past girlfriend, the past wife, or whatever it is. They'll start repeating because it is a learned behavior. They'll repeat that bad behavior, and then they'll get spit right back into the system and go, you know, back to the little drum circle that encourages the hatred and distrust of women. When it really, it wasn't the woman's fault at all. It was this goofball guy.
You know, that's why I started off the very first episode with this, talking about marriage and the fact that they say that all divorce is mostly filed by women, but they aren't talking about why it's getting filed by women. Like, there's women like me. There's a problem. I tell you what the problem is. I'm not mysterious. I don't do womanese. I'm a straight shooter. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of these guys are out of pocket, and their behavior is out of pocket. And it's self-destructive. It's self-destructive to being with another person and to the relationship on its own. And so that's why I started off that way. So when you're talking about that and the ego, and they're constantly repeating the same thing and the same behaviors, and, you know, it's the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different result. You know?
But there is one thing I would say about marriage is that people go into it expecting it to be a bed of roses, and then they break at the first hurdle a lot of the time. They're too young and they're too dumb. They don't know what it means to be married. You know, they want a wedding, not a marriage. That's the problem with a lot of people.
Yeah, and also a lot of people are weak in general, and they have a hard time dealing with anything that poses a struggle in their life. You have to be able to be strong and resilient and understand life ain't fucking easy.
But there's nothing in life worth having that doesn't come with struggle.
That's right. Everything is going to be a struggle. And if it comes too damn easy, let me tell you, if it comes too damn easy, it's probably not the greatest thing to begin with.
No, but it's like all of your best relationships come with struggle. Your kids, your family, your mother, your father, everything. There's always struggle.
Yeah, it's all a struggle.
I'm gonna give a hair of pushback.
Okay, that's fine. Go for it.
I'm gonna give a hair of pushback. Again, I enjoy being the villain, and I live and breathe for playing the devil.
That's fine. Give me your horns. What you got?
Or at least as advocate.
I'll give you the horn. Or I'll give you the horn. Men don't have fucking problems. Men don't have hardships. They don't have struggle. Now, can a male experience problems and struggle, and and decide that I don't like this, and I'm going to forge my life to a point where I won't experience this kind of thing ever again? That's what I mean by, males becoming men, because, men don't have problems. Men don't have, adversities. There is no fear. All it is, a life of acceptance and risk management. There is no, a man does not have problems. You have males, the males and the females. I could tell real quick. Everybody knows this person of, they drive for a couple of miles. They drive for dozens of miles on a bald tire. They know it's going to happen any day, but they insist on spending money, on usually, what Oracle would call drugs, whether it be fast food or spicy movies or whatever it is. They have no priority in life, and then when the tires pop, it's blaming, why does this stuff happen to me, and why do these things always happen to me, and it's poor me and pity me, and to me, I can't be around those. I can't be around those kinds of people. I can't. I can't be around those kinds of guys. I run into them every freaking day. But as far as yes, struggle and adversity and doing hard things will make you into an adult. It will make you into a man. It will make you into a woman. It will make you to the point where you will grow up and you will say, you know what? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not making these mistakes. I no longer want to struggle. I no longer want to be in this position of being without something, or having to worry, or having to experience this bad thing ever again.
I agree. It's called grow the hell up and stop your bitching and your whining and complaining.
I don't do fear myself, but I'm never afraid. It's a strange feeling, isn't it?
Wow. I wish I could be a little more like you.
But,
I mean,
no, well, I have an acceptance of whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I don't fear. It doesn't really help me. I'm aware of the sensation of danger. There's something wrong, but I don't get scared.
So Guns, I'm sure you've heard me say this before or something like this, but when it comes to my personal relationships, and I'm talking with men in terms of obviously not sexual, but friends, that I want men around me, and it is this way, who are scarred, not wounded. Because that's the distinctionary line that I draw for getting over this struggle. Right? Between male and men. That's how I put it.
Absolutely.
Good.
Well put.
I agree with that.
Yeah. You want I said this on the Oracle show, it was kind of, a lot of people get weird about this, and no, I'm not going to use the word fucking pause, okay? But I have a very strict vetting process when I deal with women that I allow in my life. You have to pass a very strict vetting process. But to be a man and to be my friend, for me to call you my friend, that's even more strict. You know what I'm saying? Because I expect more out of you as a man, you know, to be my friend. I expect more out of you than I expect of a woman, because sorry to break some news here, but men are more capable of doing things, just about everything, than women are, you know, and that's just the way it is. And, you know, it's I run into a lot of this because the conversations in this space still happen. You know, can men and women be friends? No, we absolutely can't. We cannot, because when,
we can be friendly, you know, we can be civil.
Yeah, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, out in the cold, in the snow, in the rain, in the slush, if my car breaks down, if something bad happens, I'm calling Trippy. I'm calling Oracle. I'm calling Shane. I'm not calling Becky. It's not going to happen, because, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen because I don't, you know, I don't choose her, because I know she ain't fucking coming. I know Becky ain't coming. It ain't happening. It ain't, you know, it ain't, it's just not. It's just not.
What I'd like to really hear is everybody's thoughts on this. So let's start with Trippy, then we'll go to Shane, then we'll go to Oracle, and then we'll go back to Guns, and then to the host.
What am I supposed to be talking about?
Your final thoughts, is that?
Just on Uncle Gun's statement?
Well, in the whole premise of the whole show tonight, about the grifters and about the manifesting and how it's related. I want to hear everybody's thoughts, and we're going to roundtable this. We're going to start with you. We're going to go to Shane. We're going to go to Oracle. We're going to go to Guns, and then to the host.
Okay. So basically, I would say that anybody that's trying to live stream, go on TV, any of these rich people that want to sit there and tell you how you should be leading your life, most of the crap that they're saying is just common sense. You already knew it. That's why they're reiterating it, because you feel like you thought the same way as them. So that's how they kind of get on your good side. It goes with every kind of these grifters, that Sneeko guy, fucking some of those big pastors and preachers that want to have their mega churches. They're the same way. They reiterate the same old BS. And then they act like they can save you from all the bad things in your life just to get on your good side and try to bring you over to giving them money.
Yeah, pretty much.
And none of them have a difference either. Like, they might talk about different subject matter. Well, when it boils down to is just their pocket getting fatter. And they'll sell you a book, they'll sell you a club to join. They're not going to actually help you out. Unless it benefits them in some way.
They're not your best friend unless you pay them.
Yeah, and you better pay them enough to buy multiple houses.
But they don't. I have a feeling if you pay, they don't respect you either.
Oh no, you're their pay piggy.
No, you're their simp. You're the
simp.
Yeah.
You're the fool that needed their advice. These imposters' advice.
Yes. And you don't need their advice anyways. Like, they're not saying anything you can't get from, well, your own brain for the most part, but also like your dad or your mom or, like a family member. If you have a family that you actually can talk with, a friend, like Star said. Some of my best friends have told me some of the best shit when it comes down to, like, I'm not feeling so great, like, hey, sit me down and talk with me. They don't charge you. A friend's not going to charge you. But these people will charge you until you are destitute and sitting in a gutter somewhere.
If you're paying for it, it's not really good advice, is it?
Yes. I mean, like, it might be good advice in some fashion, but it's probably not going to be necessary. Like, you probably didn't meet this dude to sit there and tell you that. You know, you got to figure that out on your own. And that's why I believe that people that listen to Andrew Tate and hell, even some of these people with the mega churches, it's more or less, it seems to be old people, right? Although they should know better, because a lot of these mega church pastors have been operating since the late 70s, you know, or the 80s. So it's like they should have damn seen this person before.
Some of them could probably go back further than that, to 20s and 30s probably, would it?
Yeah, and like a lot of the modern ones that do that crap online, like Tate or I don't know, whatever podcast people with Fresh and Fit and all them, they're just slinging the same old crap, and their viewers are usually little guys, little kids, high school kids, that have access to their parents' credit cards and can donate.
Yeah, that's true. And what about Shane? What are your thoughts on all this?
I agree with the guys, and I agree about friends. It's a very big word that we throw around too lightly, like love. You know, you should have, like, a true friend is that guy that you can call at 2 a.m. who will come. You know, and there's very few of them, and we all think we're surrounded by friends when we're young. As we age, we find we lose lots of them, and we have a small group of core friends who are practically family. I think that's where the Italian La Familia comes from. You know, and like I know there are people that I can call that will come at 2 o'clock in the morning and drive to a different city just because I need them, and vice versa. And, you know, that's what people need. As to your life, and, you know, work hard and you will get what you want, or you get what you deserve. You know, but we're not owed anything. Nobody owes you. You know, the woman you fancy at the bar doesn't owe you her time. You know, you have to. You know, it's survival of the fittest. Sorry.
Yeah, but if you find the right woman at the bar, she works there and she can't leave, so you got her to yourself all night. And you can just keep creeping her the hell out, right?
But what I mean is, it's no excuse to stop trying, though. It's excuse to stop trying.
Exactly, it's not an excuse. But I mean, if she does work there, then you can follow her to her car and get her license plate. I'm joking. No, don't anybody do that.
In other words, it's called persistence. Persistence always wins out overall, and it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. Okay, and moving on.
But what I was explaining wasn't persistence.
Okay, I know you're giving us how to do stalking 101. Okay, wait a minute.
Things I said.
Don't play nifty for me, okay?
He's like giving a cat. He's like.
There's a new person coming up, or another person.
All right, and Uncle Guns, your thoughts in closing.
Same thing I've said all night. You know, if you're in a place where you need some help, you know, test it. Find someone who is saying something that is living a life that you wish to live, and it has to be realistic. It can't be Miami condos and Lamborghinis and, you know, fake women and big parties. That is unrealistic, and it's very few percentage of the people can achieve that. And as you can see, the people who are online that are doing that, they're getting in a lot of trouble. They're getting in a lot of freaking trouble. It's that life is not all that. What is achievable is, you know, suburbs, living out in the country, quiet life, you know, everything's paid for, no worries, no fear, you know, self-dependence, a tribe of people that you trust. That's achievable. Find somebody that is living the life that you wish to live, and then seek help from them. But make sure it's realistic, and test it out to see if it works. Test it out to see if it works. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then, you know, maybe start asking some questions. Maybe you're with the wrong group, the wrong program. But, you know, the fake stuff it's not going to help you. The fake stuff is not going to help you. Wishing for stuff isn't going to help you. Wishing upon when you wish upon a star, no, it doesn't. No. Get out there. Don't just touch the grass. Do about 50 fucking burpees on the goddamn grass, and then get back to me. Forget about touching the grass. Get out there, do something. I promise you, your life will change.
That's true. Yeah, as long as you put some effort into changing your life and changing your mindset. Yeah, exactly. And Oracle?
Yeah. Let's see here. So I agree with a lot of what was already said, a lot of truth. However, there's some context missing. Like, for instance, I would say at times a good friend won't come pick you up. They won't bail you out.
They'll let you get yourself out of the situation.
Right. Even when they can, even when they want to, sometimes being a good friend is not doing that. In regards to the grift or, this sort of thing, all the pills, metaphorical. Yeah. I see a lot of the bigger content creators as wounded themselves in the binary sense, looking to fix their own problems through their followers, ironically, who are looking to fix their problems through the creator. And in some terms seems to turn into a lot of circle jerking. Where,
codependent.
Yeah, and codependent, sure. A lot of fakeness, fake relationships, people believing that whoever it is their daddy, this bigger content creator, kind of getting swallowed up by the allure of clout and things that really don't matter at baseline. Doesn't matter if you have 1 million subscribers or none. Doesn't make any more or less of a man or woman or whatever. With all that said, kind of where I would start off for anyone, in terms of not a magic pill, but in the reality of helping yourself, your situation, is removing or at least mitigating the drugs that you take daily, the habits, the codependencies, the crutches, right? And it depends. It's person to person, but there's a lot of overlap between the actual drugs, alcohol included, social media, attention in and of itself seems to be a drug for people. Mitigating those, I think, can get you to a baseline where you can actually start to think clearer and start to make your own formations of what's right and wrong. And as Guns was pointing out, I think, there's trial and error involved. There's not a one-size-fits-all for everyone, but there are generalities, right? Men want, to achieve certain things that don't necessarily coincide with what women want. In some ways, the opposite. So, in a way, everyone should do whatever the fuck they want. But meanwhile, I don't think most people really have a clue what they want.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
I know I don't. I'm a clown. I'm not a people.
They know what they don't want more than anything, but they don't know what they want.
Or they don't. They know what they don't like, also, but they just.
Why are you guys talking directly about just me? Okay, I feel like I'm very on the spot.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
I do. I can kind of choose if I want what I want to eat when I go out, though. Kind of. As long as somebody else picks first, and I can just have their order.
Monkey see, monkey do.
Pretty much.
Oh God! All right. They pick their nose, you pick yours. Yeah. Okay.
Well, no, I pick theirs.
You
can pick your friends, and you can pick your friend's nose.
Wait.
It's like the most well-known thing ever.
No, it's you can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your nose, your friend's nose. That's how it used to be. So
that's why I don't have any friends.
Oh.
That must be it.
And poor Tyrone, he's out there. Nice to see you, Tyrone. It's been a minute.
Hey, Tyrone.
Hey, you're all yelling at me.
Oh, by the way, Tyrone, you said you got stalkers. That was me. That was me.
You know, what is happening in the space for men and even for the women is no different than what takes place in the church. Okay, based talked about being codependency, right? Well, there's a lot of people out there that are hurting. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of people in need. Okay, and people are looking to fill that gap with any way that they can find it. Yeah. Unfortunately, they lack the necessary tools to pick a good one, or figure out that once you pick something, you're not supposed to be on life support attached to it. There has to be a cutoff point at some time. Would you agree with that, Uncle Guns?
Yeah. You have to know. You have to know what to pick up, how long to carry it, and what the cutoff is.
Yeah. And so even just like in the church, they've got all these people that are writing books, book after book, and they're piling up to buy it, piling up to buy the videos. So in the space, they're piling up to buy the courses. You know, get me out of this jam, teach me how to become alpha, which, you know, being an alpha does not translate being an asshole. I hate to tell everybody this. That's not what being an alpha is. Also doesn't mean being selfish or self-centered. So I would say to everybody, one and all out there, that one way to know a good teacher, a really good teacher, no matter what their teaching is they give you the parameters of the problem in the situation, but they don't tell you what to think and how to utilize the tools that they're giving you. They're not telling you exactly what to do with it. They
lead you to the answer.
They lead you to the answer, and they want you to mitigate your own problem to some degree. Because anytime you have somebody telling you what to think all the time, you know, that's the first red flag. That's do what I say. You know, just do as I say. Don't think for yourself. I tell you to. So let's see. Barry Geekler says there is a big difference between coping with challenges and dealing with them. Yes, I would also agree with that.
So, Star, that was well said. A couple things I would add on to it, though, is one of the issues, one of the buffers is, I think, people being a slave to their emotions.
Yes.
And that slavery looks like, I mean, it can look many different ways, but for instance, it can look like people staying in bad relationships, let's say, due to that codependency, not wanting to be alone, not comfortable being alone. Also, the emotions involved with drug usage. I mean, imagine somebody eating fast food every meal, every day, and smoking cigarettes 2 packs a day, let's say, and drinking every night, and doing other drugs, and on social media 8 hours a day. Generally speaking, that person I just described, and I'm sure there's more I could add, they are a fucking slave to their emotions. They're doing these things because it makes them feel good enough for the moment. And unfortunately, that makes it very difficult to quit or mitigate some of these. So it's going to take a level of discipline that it would seem that person has not yet obtained.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
10,000%.
Yeah. I would also add in there really good leaders and men who, and you might not like this, but I've noticed really good leaders and men who lead men are not necessarily teaching them in their own particular debaucherous ways. You know what I'm saying? That's a picadillo that I have. It's like, why are you like, I've listened to dudes in the space say, hey, if you're unhappy and you're married, just go ahead and cheat. Just don't tell her, so that way she doesn't file for divorce and get half of whatever and take the kids. It's like, oh yeah, let's just advocate that adultery and fornication. It's just, everything's just a-okay. And then God will wink at your sin on top of it. Hi, Glenn Lawrence. So yeah, I said I don't give a shit. I was there a year ago when they were talking about all that crap. Yeah, and Thor's channel, that's where I was listening to that. I was like, I had about enough of this.
I thought you were supposed to just go to wherever she works and put your junk up against the glass. Right? Oh.
Where's the drum roll?
I was serious.
Oh my God, he's serious.
Hanga. I don't even have my sound pad open. That's probably why.
Spicoli, I see you behave.
No, he doesn't know how to. He has no idea how to keep my name out of his mouth.
Spicoli, stop trying to get Base to inject DMT. He's not going to do it. Right into his eyelids.
DMT?
I don't think you can inject it. See, that's the joke for you.
I don't even know how you take DMT.
That's the thing Joe Rogan takes, isn't it?
I think you smoke it, or you eat the root, or something like that.
It makes you see things or something.
You might be able to. I don't think so though.
Music drop.
Oh yeah, you drink the tea too.
I'm being told. I'm being
the alpha.
Yeah, aren't you guys alpha? Yo, you not alpha enough out there? Come
Yeah, real alphas inject marijuana.
Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the fucking question. Just answer the fucking question, nigga. Answer the fucking question.
So,
What question
so the gift that keeps giving.
It's yes, just like herpes.
Oof.
Did you hear that thing about porn stars and herpes?
No. What is
A significant population of them have herpes.
I'm not surprised, but
it's the kind of thing that they test for, and they can't eliminate it. It's stuck, so they just have them work together.
Oh, well, I think it's like 1 in 5 people have some form of herpes, whether it be like on the mouth or genitalia. I think it's 1 in 5. Oh, no, it's 1 in 5 people that work in the fast food industry have it. That's what it is.
What?
Yeah.
Well, porn is a much higher number.
That's horrible.
Yep. Oh, Star, what's the matter? You know, you're from California. You don't know about the restaurant?
So I got an interesting anecdote on this.
What is it?
So I knew somebody, and yes, I knew somebody. So when he got with his what would be many-year-long fiance, she told him when they first met that she had the herp and got it from her ex who cheated on her.
Oh, God.
And he and I were out, this is many years ago, we were out somewhere and he's telling me this. And he's like, yeah, she said I would just have to be on a pill for the rest of my life. And I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And I looked at him, I said, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah,
why would you
do that?
Why would you do that? Could that ever be worth the squeeze? Is there any rationale any of you could come up with to be like, yeah, you know, that could make sense?
A pill, though. Whatever, but no, that makes no sense. Then you gotta make sure you have that crap.
It makes desperation sense, right? If he
qualifier.
That's weird. Why would anybody do that?
But think about it. He now gets it and has to think about that he got it from her, who got it from her husband cheating on her previous husband. What? Wow.
So, was he a virgin before this?
No.
Oh, that's even weird.
That was a good question.
No, they were
that
married.
would make sense.
Oh no, he said fiance.
Look, man, the thirst out there is real.
Yeah,
the thirst is absolutely real. I mean, guys will, guys who don't know themselves. Again, this is a member. Only males are led around by their desire. Only males are led around by their desire, their sexual desire.
Yes.
Me, she's a hottie, she's a baddie. No, she's not a baddie until I come home and the house smells like roast and she's scrubbing my tile grout with a smile. Okay? She's not a baddie until all that shit happens. Stop it.
I guess that's a cue for all the ladies to hurry up and get their aprons on.
All the single ladies.
All the single ladies. Put your hands up. Yeah.
And wasn't she married when she sang that song?
That broad, by the way. I don't like Beyonce.
Wasn't she married when she sang that song?
Yes, of course. That's the hypocrisy of it all, isn't it?
Dude, if you like it, you should have put a ring on it. Did that come first?
Well, her first outing was, can you pay my bills? Remember that one? Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bill? Can you pay me?
wasn't that Destiny's Child? I never listened.
She was the lead singer of
I'm
Destiny's
still
Child.
wondering what the names of Destiny's children are. And also, who's the dad?
Oh my God. Because
we know who Destiny is, right?
You told me that joke the other day, and I went whoosh over my head, and I was like, huh?
Yeah. And now that the band's dissolved, wait a minute. Maybe Destiny was the guy who does the streams. Maybe we just don't know the mother's name.
Oh my God. I think that just went over like a lead balloon, which means it didn't.
It went over very well, okay?
Tyrone, he's all, I'm crying.
Knows exactly what I'm talking about.
It's horrible.
I like to tell a joke until one person gets it. Okay?
The one
Persistence.
Close it up to get party.
Yes, persistence. We were talking about that earlier.
No, discipline is important, though. Discipline is very important.
Yes, discipline. I'm going to say something as a woman, which is not going to be very popular to other women and men out there. I agree with you, Uncle Guns. Anybody who's led around by their emotions, period. I don't like you. I'm a kind of a tough broad, try and keep an even kilter, because I don't want to deal with your bipolar ups and downs. And if you can't hunker down and make it through the tougher times in your life and know that eventually it's going to see itself through to the other side, and maintain yourself, we got problems. Stop being led around by your emotions, Sure.
I got a personal question. I don't think it's too personal, but so do you have what's your friend landscape like? Like, for instance, do you have all female friends or male and female, or? I
have moved.
What does that mean?
It means I'm no longer in proximity of said friends, and so I'm kind of a loner though by nature, just to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've moved too, and my close friends are not in my state at this point.
All right. So, we're both in the same shoes. So I would say I used to always have more male friends than females, because females have give me a hard time for some reason. Like they think I'm in competition with them, and I am not in competition with you. I'm secure in my masculinity.
That's right.
Seriously, yeah, I'm okay with who I am and where I'm at, and most people have a hard time dealing with that. So I'm in the market for new friends.
Okay.
I would like to have more female friends, especially a couple mom friends. But
I'm sorry, females don't exist on YouTube.
There's a few, but
Princess Leia in the old Star Trek or Wars.
I'm talking about, close by in person. I'm not talking about none of this in internet land stuff. I mean, my family here with you guys is great and all, but we're talking about also in person. It's a different.
There must be something
go out
local.
and touch grass. Go out and touch grass. The grass is real. The sun is warm. I would really like to find some girl workout.
Good night, Barry Geekler.
Good night, Barry Geekler. Is he leaving? Did I miss it?
Not Gary.
No, Barry.
So how do you think you'd go about doing that? And I'll tell you first. I have a couple close friends of many years. One, I think, around 7, the other around 20. And we keep in pretty close touch, considering we haven't lived in the same state in a few years now. With that said, I'm not in any market for new friends, people. I like the landscape that Guns was painting earlier. Being the fuck away from most people, to me, is a good thing. Being in the city around a bunch of tards acting like zombies, not my thing. So, just curious, how would you go about finding female friends or friends?
Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the fucking question. Just answer the fucking question, nigga. Answer the fucking question.
Oh my God, we just dropped an N-bomb. Oh my God, I'm not monetized yet, thank God. I take interest that you like and go someplace where other people like to do that also. Like if you go to church, find some new people at church. If you go to the gym, try to find a gym buddy. I would like to find some gym buddies. But I'm kind of also in the same space where I kind of don't want a bunch of people messing with me. So,
See, here's an interesting, anecdote, I guess. So I would look at it the opposite. I actually don't give a fuck what my friends do if we have any common interests. I care more about character, right? Having someone you can trust. Whether or not they like sports, I don't give a fuck about sports. To me, that's kind of immaterial. Or at least what I consider to be close friends. I don't really care about that shit. It happens that we do have some common interests, but I'm just saying, to me, that's not the core. So I guess, ironically, I wouldn't go about it the same way if I was in the market, but I was just curious how you viewed it.
I would prefer people with character over interest, but if you're looking just to find people to talk to get started, to network, I would go to places of things that you like to do. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Just walk up to some random person in the grocery store and strike up a conversation? I mean, you could, but it might come off as a little strange.
No, I get it.
I've done that before. Like,
Well,
I'll
guess
I'll crack a weird comment, and people look at me and then they'll chuckle.
I guess to push, like to push back on that a little bit. Not that you're wrong. I think pragmatically that does make sense. But I also look at it like the people who are meant to be in your life, they'll find a way, even if it is the grocery store, for example.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's actually, I know you're not a Christian, but that's actually biblically true also, just so you know. It's true. That principle is true. I've had people in the space say, oh, there's no such thing as God designated one person for you. Okay. That might be true to some degree, but what about all the people that God put together that made things happen? Oh, that kind of challenges that a little bit. A little bit of a pushback.
The one that got away.
Yeah. Like if George hadn't met Anne and then that collided, he would have never got saved, had his own ministry, and then had all these asshole kids. And I'm telling you, they had 6 of them. And then I would have never came around. See how that works? And the tool was used. It was utilized well. And it affected other people's lives for some, mostly for the better, some for the negative, but mostly for the better. So that's how it works. I'm sure Uncle Guns is like, oh God, shut up, Star. Uncle Guns, go ahead, tell me. Go ahead and say it.
I don't like the what if or the woulda, shoulda, coulda. I don't like the, I don't like the time displacement. Well, if this didn't happen, then this wouldn't have happened, and this didn't happen. If that's your thing, I'm not going to take it from you. But I personally don't care. I don't.
You believe in cause and effect, though, don't you?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I only believe in doing what's directly in front of me. I only believe in doing what is directly in front of me. Yes, I make plans, okay, but I'm a huge believer in the present moment. Like what I'm doing right now. There are certain parameters, okay. Like I'm here at work, okay. I'm here at work. I can't leave. There's certain parameters. So what I'm doing right now is the most important thing.
You focus all of your mind and attention on your current task. You focus everything on your whatever you happen to be doing in the present is what you focus on.
Yeah, the present, whatever I can do in the present. I mean, I plan things out. Let's not get it twisted. I plan. I don't plan any further than a whole month, and then I have a daily routine that I stick by. It's boring and mundane. It's very boring. It's very mundane to most people, but it's how I get stuff done. I'm a workaholic, and I purposely pick my life. I choose every single thing that I do in my life for a reason. It's for a bigger purpose, but I don't focus on that. If the bigger purpose thing doesn't happen, I don't even think about it. I just do what I have to do today, and I split my time up into 2-hour blocks. The next this hour I'm doing this, that, and the other. The next hour I'm doing this, that, and the other, and that's it. then I you know, I have a little, and that's it. I just focus on the right now. A lot of people they get caught up. A lot of people get caught up in the past, and they want to, well, you know, woulda, shoulda, coulda, and like that is the most dangerous
Or
thing.
where you're going to be in 5 or 10 years.
What's that?
Or where you're going to be in 5, 10 years, you know?
Right.
It's
dumb. Right. It's dumb. It's dumb. It's really, I mean, look, you can plan all you want, but honestly, if you have a, I mean, you can do it. I do it just like businesses do it. I do it quarterly, biannually, and annually, and then I break it up into, you know, into months. But, you know, people who, well, what's your 5-year plan? Well, that's great, you know, but a lot of it doesn't happen. But also, you can get to the same place by focusing on what you got to focus on at the moment. You know, there's nothing else you can do about it.
That focus, that can be work, it can be personal relationships, it can be the conversation.